Hello everyone, welcome to a retrospective. I don't want to call it a review because I think that sets the bar too high, but we'll call it a thoughts on Star Wars, whatever it was called. Rise of Skywalker?
The Rise of Skywalker.
So we watched this movie about an hour ago. Not even that really. It was a midnight screening. It's currently 12 minutes past 3 a.m. So this is some fresh shit right here. So we're gonna give our reviews, our impressions, with some various. We're gonna do a scene by scene breakdown. So obviously this is gonna be spoiler heavy. I feel like that's necessary to point out now so that people can't complain in the comments. Do a scene by scene character review, stuff like that as well. So I thought I should emphasize to start off with here that I have watched every Star Wars. Everything Star Wars besides Rebels. I've also read a lot of the books, the comics, the graphic novels, everything. Played all the games. I am Star Wars, okay? Just so you know, I am Star Wars at this point. You, by comparison, are not Star Wars.
I am not Star Wars. I have watched all of the new ones, the sequels.
You've watched everything post Episode 3, I think. I think you've watched episode. I think you watched Revenge of the Sith, where Obi-Wan and Anakin fight on the lava planet.
I have watched that one.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
So you've seen that one.
I've seen that one. It wasn't very good.
Solo.
Yep.
Rogue One.
Yep.
And then all the sequel movies.
Yeah.
So episodes 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen those, and like.
Have you played any games?
I played a bit of Lego Star Wars.
Okay, it doesn't count. Have you played? Okay, so no, I assume you've not read any books, graphic novels, etc., etc.
No, but I was interested in some of the lore.
But none of that's relevant to this, though, is it? All of the lore I think you've read up on is dead as dicks.
Oh yeah, like the lore I read up on was like, you know, that bit. I think it was Solo where they were going. Was it Solo the way they were going through?
Going through the nebula.
Yeah.
The Maw.
Yeah,
I
the
think
Maw.
Actually, it might not have been the Maw. I don't remember what they called it.
No, it was the Maw.
Through a load of black holes, anyway.
Yeah, it was really cool. I thought that was really interesting. I didn't think that this film was interesting, but we'll go into that.
No, you're not allowed to say that yet.
No.
So on the subject of Star Wars materials that Disney have killed off, we're gonna. I'm gonna be using two words in this, and I'll explain this for you as well, just in case you don't know. So there are two terms that are used in regards to Star Wars universe. One of which is canon, so that's everything that has come out post-Disney, along with certain sanctified things that Disney have called official Star Wars. So that's all 6 of the pre-Disney movies, along with the 3D animated Clone Wars series, not the 2D one, and some other stuff, Rebels as well, obviously Mandalorian,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
See, I've heard that Clone Wars is actually good.
Yeah, it is generally considered quite good. The other term as well. Sorry to go back to this, but I think it's important that I cover this quickly.
No, it's fine. Explain.
Is Legends, which is everything that Disney have basically decided is non-canon. So before the Disney merger with Lucasfilms, that was everything Star Wars, or sometimes referred to as the expanded universe. That's now referred to as Star Wars Legends, and then canon is the things that Disney have said, hey, this is Star Wars, you're allowed to talk about this as Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
So, just in case, because there was a lot of nods to Legends in this movie, and that's what I want to bring up. So the non-canon stuff, the things that Disney don't own the rights to, or don't consider true Star Wars, there were a lot of nods to that in this film. So I thought I'd just define that in case people aren't too much into the Star Wars world.
Like me.
Like you.
Yeah.
So first thing on the list of the brief outline of things here, I wanted to get general thoughts on the film, no specifics. Maybe just like a number review, thoughts about the overall thing. We're not going to do a super deep dive yet. So, for example, I'm going to say that I think the movie was probably a 6 out of 10. It was. I think the first half was abysmal, and I think the second half was better than the whatever the last film was called. Shit, what was that called again? Last Jedi? Yeah, I thought that the second half of this film was better than The Last Jedi, but I thought the first half was much, much worse. And that is all I'm going to say for my going into things here, just so people can establish if we've got a bias or anything like that.
I thought this film was bad. Like, not all of it. I agree with you that the second half was a lot better than the first. The first half was terrible, but the problem I had was a lot of characters, without going into it yet, I didn't like or didn't think were useful in any way.
Can you give it a numerical value?
It was below average for me, so I'll give it a 4.
You give it a 4. So I'm saying it's slightly above average, which for a Star Wars film is bad. and you're saying it's below average, which for a Star Wars film in 2019 is pretty fucking good, I think.
Yeah, the problem that I've got is that as a non-fan, I can't see the nods to the legends. I can only really see the nods. Like, I saw nods, without saying anything, again, specific, I saw nods through cinematography to make, like, parallels with previous films that I'd seen and stuff like that. And I was like, well, this is interesting, but, like, this is the minimum I would expect from a film of this budget to have these things, like having good-looking sets and having good costumes and sound design.
Yeah, but that's just achieved by a big budget, really.
Yeah, it's all from the budget. So I cannot, in good conscience, use those towards my rating. So I had to go for my enjoyment, which was not very good.
This is a good thing to cover then very briefly. So overall sound... actually kind of difficult to rate because the cinema we were in had really bad sound. Like really bad sound. It's like we've never been to the cinema before, and it had really bad sound, so it's difficult to actually judge it. But the soundtrack, as ever, is
oh yeah, the soundtrack is always
Star
incredible.
Wars.
Yeah.
There were certain dissonant things, but we'll cover that when we actually get to that scene in the scene by scene play. So the sound was obviously very good. I think the cinematography, as with every Star Wars film, is good. The settings were nice, the costumes were nice, the choreography I actually thought was bad.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll talk about that there's one specific scene, and I'm sure you know what scene I'm talking about, that I want to mention when we get to it. I'll bring it up then.
I want to bring up some more, when we go into spoilers, about the sets and a lot of the setting as well, that I think some people will agree with me on and some people won't, because I'm not a fan.
Right.
So, like, I can appreciate some things about these films, but I did not grow up with Star Wars. I grew up in a Lord of the Rings household, and my parents...
Why they gotta be mutually exclusive?
That's the thing. Like, my dad hated Star Wars, loved Star Trek, so I grew up as a Trekkie, and he refused to ever have it in the house.
Oh, good.
So I don't hate the films, but I'm just not invested in them, I think, is the way that I put it.
That's why I thought your opinion was valid in this one, because for me, I'd be able to do a bit of a analytical thing, but you can look at it more as just an average viewer of...
I am the average Joe Schmo.
You, it's just a standalone movie. To me, it's 40 years of established universe that's being flushed down the toilet. Not that I think it was necessarily that bad. So... we'll go by scene and cover most of... obviously, we're not going to go through every fucking line of dialogue. It was a 2-and-a-bit-hour film.
Yeah.
But we'll just go through the important stuff that sort of happened in chronological order. So, the first thing, as with every Star Wars, it opened up with a title crawl. And I'm going to admit...
God.
They made a horrible choice. Literally, the first line of the title crawl, before you've seen any dialogue, any characters, anything, says, Palpatine has returned. And I honestly thought that was the worst set dressing they could have ever done in every Star Wars film. That's the worst way they could have opened it.
There's a whole thing of show, don't tell.
Right.
And they fucking just show him. Like, they say that he's sent out a broadcast to the whole universe. Show me that he has done that. Don't fucking just write, oh, Palpatine's back.
Palpatine's back and he's broadcast to the galaxy that he's back. That's almost literally the words that are on the screen.
Yeah.
And
Kylo is angry. Wow, what a fucking surprise.
Now is a good time, I think, to bring up this point, because we're at the start of it, and obviously The Last Jedi came before that. I would have preferred it if all the shite in The Last Jedi, the casino stuff, them running away from a spaceship in a straight line, when they're being torpedoed and stuff at the end, and she does the Holdo maneuver and other things mentioned later on. Instead of doing all of that, they should have had Palpatine's return.
Yeah.
Because that way, Snoke's death and Snoke's complete insignificance, which, by the way, in this movie is basically said, Snoke was insignificant and a waste of time. It was me all along.
What that really pissed me off. No, I'll wait till we get to that scene. I will wait till we get there.
Why did they not cut all of that shite out? Because that way, when Snoke died, it would have been impactful, because Palpatine immediately rises to take his place.
Yeah, then we have an actual antagonist.
Yeah, and it's not just that was Snoke, that's the end of it, what a garbage man. It's like, well, there's Snoke, but actually he was, a clone, for spoilers, all along. Like I said, it's spoiler free. It was
so bad.
Anyway, don't worry about that. Let's go through the scene by scene. So we've had the title crawl. Then, after that, I'm actually struggling to remember, because that's how little an impression the first half of the film
Finn
had.
and Poe are on the Falcon, and they're getting some information from a mole who was in the First Order. And
Right.
they're getting given a recording that they have to put into R2D2, and there's this like really shit fake tension where it's like, oh
I
no,
agree.
we're gonna get shot,
Yeah.
and it's like, no, you're not, and this is
So-
not.
Yeah,
Ugh.
they're getting information from obviously a Republic or I guess they're not anymore, a rebel spy. So there's this whole scene with them running away, and then they do some absolute. I think this is going to be probably the holdover maneuver of this film, where they jump to hyperspace into planets. So one scene, he's in an asteroid, and then he hyperspaces literally into the middle of a city, where the TIE fighters also follow him. And then, even though it was established in the film previous that it takes some time to track them through hyperspace, and it's obviously quite a precise calculation, they are literally, he teleports to this planet, the TIE fighters are behind him. Then he hyperspaces into another planet, and then the TIE fighters are behind him. Then he hyperspaces into a worm's mouth, and then the TIE fighters are behind him.
God, that was fucking.
I thought it was ridiculous, and it completely goes against the Star Wars established canon of gravity wells and hyperlanes and navigation issues. Like, there's this whole thing in the Star Wars legends where the core worlds in the galaxy are impossible to navigate because it's so dense. And then he just hyperspace jumps into the middle of a fucking city, which I would argue probably more difficult to navigate than a few star systems.
Also, the dialogue was terrible.
Dialogue was bad in that
Like,
scene.
there's this one bit, and I can't remember the exact words, but basically, like, Poe says, "Oh, we're gonna destroy these boys by shooting down this scaffolding," and fucking Finn, who's facing the exact different direction, is like, "Yeah, that's what I was thinking." No, you weren't. What?
It's
It was so bad, and like, there was all these one-liners where they were just sort of like
Right.
saying like, "Oh, this is so important. We need to hurry up." And he's like, "It's almost done." And it's like, it's
something we should have covered actually during the initial intro, sort of our thoughts on dialogue should have been one of those sections, alongside sets and
the dialogue was
sounds and whatever.
shocking.
I thought the dialogue was very bad. It very much
Very
felt like a
bad.
children's movie. It was a lot of almost directly addressing the audience. Here is the plan. If this plan does not work, that will be a bad thing. Yes, this plan must succeed. Rather than there being like emotional actual character development, it was very much this exists to forward the story. It was anyway.
Oh, it was bad.
I expect that throughout all of the film. So
Yeah.
we'll just put a bookend on that one there by saying the dialogue's bad throughout the whole film, rather than say every scene that has bad
If there's
dialogue, I
anything
think.
in specifically egregious, I will bring it up.
Right,
but-
okay. I will as well, because there was a lot of
Because there was a
specifically
lot
egregious
of
stuff.
specifically egregious stuff.
So they take this information, or they get this information about this hidden spy, which is relevant later. I thought it was just a throwaway line, but it actually is
It actually is
later.
relevant. It's shit, but it's relevant.
Yeah, it's that might arguably be one of the worst setups
Oh my-
for no payoff.
I am so angry about that. We will go into it. We will go into it.
So they land on the planet, and then you see Rey is training with Leia just as the Falcon's about to
And
get
like,
back.
she's like, "Oh, master." So Leia's now her actual
Right,
Jedi
so
master.
yeah, that was it was quite a nice. It was very forced, and
It was very forced.
I felt it was heavily implied without them needing to do that, but you've also got to appreciate the film is a 12, so it will be for children, and I think children might miss nuance like that if you don't specifically say, she is a Jedi Master, what is training Rey, you might have missed out on that somewhat.
Yeah.
I thought that, honestly, one of my predictions going into it was they would start with Leia's funeral or something like that.
Yeah, that would have been terrible, so I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yeah, I honestly thought they were going to just get that out of the way. The obvious elephant in the room that one of your main characters, because she was a main character in this film, she actually was very impactful. One of your main characters is dead. I felt like, in real life, obviously, I thought that might have been a pretty big thing to address, but they kind of just ignored it.
Yeah, I mean, like, we know that Star Wars can bring back characters now, because Disney gives them the budget to make really, really fucking
Yeah, Disney
good
have the
CG.
souls of their actors digitized at this point.
Yeah, and like, even though I didn't hate the Leia teaching Rey thing, even though it was forced, I thought it was okay. I
agree.
found that most of the scenes with Leia in them were dull. As in, very flat. And because she's dead, they can't really do much.
Right, yeah.
Like, this is one of the things I found. She had all the facial expressions were very, very samey, and she didn't move much. And I understand that there are limitations.
There's a lot of CG going on there.
But,
I
like,
don't believe all of it was CG.
I don't believe all of it's CG as
I think a
well.
lot of that was pre-recorded stuff she'd done in the past, and they supplemented with a lot of CG. Like, there was a lot of back shots of Leia.
There was a
shots of the
lot.
back of her head.
So
shots
that
of
might
her
have been a body double.
yeah, well, I mean that's exactly what it was. Shots of her facing Rey, things like that.
For those scenes, there was a lot of shot, reverse shot, boring cinematography because they couldn't make it interesting because she's dead.
Yeah.
Um, like it made the Leia scenes, like, some of them were good, but we'll move into that a bit more later.
Yeah, I think she had a couple of good scenes.
I think that, like, they didn't mishandle Leia in this film.
No, I think that was very much a problem that they could have had. If I honestly thought they were going to go one of two ways. They were either going to kill a character off and just quietly, respectfully almost say that that's the end of her. Like this is the end of her story. We don't really want to force it too much. Or I thought they were going to go the opposite and try and memorialize her.
Yeah.
In some, I don't even want to say epic fight scene, because obviously they wouldn't have ever done that, but something that was going to be massive and character defining, and they kind of did, but it was very subtle. I thought they were going to go with some serious Leia theatrics, but no, they actually did just...
No, they just let her go silently into that good night, I think.
Yeah.
Which was good. Like, they let her have an actual ending that I don't love her
mention it
ending.
when it comes up, because it's quite important.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're training in the forest, blah, blah, blah. Falcon comes back, says, oh, we've got this information from this guy. I don't even remember what the information was relevant for.
It's basically information that says that Palpatine's alive. And then Poe bitches at Rey for not being with them, like, oh, what are you even training for?
He gives her they give him the location, don't they? The planet Exol, was it called?
Oh god,
Exodol, something like that.
Yeah.
So they find out that that's what they have to track down, and then Rey's Jedi books, it was something that apparently Luke Skywalker was doing before he retired to Acto. That's why he kind of gave up in a way, was that he wasn't able to track down this. I think they referred to it as the original Sith world, or a Sith, like this, the throne of the Sith, or something like that.
A secret Sith planet that is not on any star map.
And they emphasize that it's not Imperial, it's nothing that the Empire did, but it is purely like Sith.
Just Sith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's made sort of a big point of it. It's like this hidden world, so they have to... It is very much a fucking treasure hunt. And this is, I think, why I hated the first part of the movie, because it was... So the first location they go to is this... They actually refer to it as the Forbidden Desert. There's actually a festival going on there.
Wait, you've missed out a scene.
Have I?
Kylo going to get his little compass thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kylo does a really boring fight scene. It's really badly choreographed.
Right, so Kylo is on, I believe it was Mustafar. He's on Mustafar fighting some little, like, I think they were droid peoples, like natives to the planet, something like that. Yeah. I think it was Mustafar. It's an undescribed lava planet, but given the Mustafar history with the Sith and Darth Vader's Citadel was there, and obviously it's where he became Darth Vader and whatnot, it would make a lot of sense. But anyway, he finds one of these... What do they call it? The Wayfinder?
Yeah, something like that. It's basically a Sith compass.
It looks like a Sith holocron, which in Legends, I don't know if they're fucking canon anymore, is like a pyramid that contains Sith knowledge. So it was, for all intents and purposes, a Sith holocron, which leads you to this hidden planet of, I think it was called Exol. I kind of want to look it up.
If you want, I can look it up.
But I don't remember.
On my phone.
Just because it's going to be relevant a lot, because there's a lot of scenes that happen there. But yeah, Kylo Ren, while you're doing that, I'll cover it very quickly.
Yeah,
Kylo Ren gets his little Wayfinder, his Sith holocron device, jumps on his spaceship, hot-tails it over to Exol through some spooky nebula, which, I mean, it's established as being in the outer regions. Now, this is interesting from the perspective of those of you who know Legends. In Legends, the Emperor builds this secret fortress, this cloning facility on a planet called Biss, which is in the galactic core. Now, like I said earlier, it's established that the galactic core is really difficult, well, at least it was, apparently really difficult to negotiate, which is why it was the perfect hiding place. There's gravity wells, anomalies, black holes, whatever, makes it very difficult to find your way through. So that's why the Emperor hid his little cloning facility, again, this is Legends, on Biss. Now, this is very much a reflection, almost a mirror of that, in that this time he has this secret, hidden, stormy, inhospitable, borderline inhospitable planet in the form of Exol, but it's out in the outer regions, which is another area of the sort of Star Wars galaxy which is quite difficult to negotiate. It's full of storms and for whatever reason, a lot of, like, sort of galactic issues.
I literally cannot find it.
I think it was Exol or Exodol or something like that.
Yeah, it was began with an E.
Yeah, whatever. Planet E.
Planet E.
So there is this sort of Biss analog. So for those of you who've read Legends and know about that, it is very, very similar. So he turns up there, and it's this big dark Sith temple. There's this... we see a scene of the ships, the Star Destroyers, actually coming out of the Earth, which I thought was really peculiar.
Yeah.
They were like erupting from the ground, and then there's like thousands of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of ships.
And then Kylo Ren goes down there, and he sees a very small explanation. There's very little explanation of what Snoke actually
fuck off.
is.
I hated this bit.
He walks past I would only call it, I mean, in Legends, again, I'm going to keep going back to
you're
this.
such a nerd.
In Legends, it's referred to as Sith alchemy, which is like Sith dark force science coupled with technology, right? So he walks past what looks like a Sith alchemist lab, and there's a bunch of Snoke clones.
Yeah, there's loads
in a
of
jar.
Snoke clones in jars.
And then you're about to say what I think you're about to say.
No, you go on.
I was going to say, Palpatine does this voiceover, does this big monologue about, every voice you've heard was mine. And then he walks past and he sees, obviously, Snoke in a jar, and then the Emperor's like, oh, I made Snoke.
And I was, when I saw that, oh my god, I was fucking... I literally just turned around and looked at Sam in the cinema.
I hate that backstory for multiple reasons.
I hate it. The
one reason I hate that backstory is that in the official Last Jedi, again, this is getting kind of deep. In the official Last Jedi handbook, it's established that Snoke has a degenerative disease, something called like it's literally called like zygomia or some shit like that, right? Apparently, that's why he's all hunched over, crippled, like deformed and whatnot. But now you're telling me he's just cloned to be like that? I mean, granted, suffering gives you access to the dark side, whatever. Maybe the Emperor didn't want someone so powerful that they could challenge him. Palpatine, that is. Didn't want someone so powerful he could challenge him. I don't know. There's a lot of hand-wavy headcanon ways to get around that. It just seems so odd. So, I don't know if Snoke is directly said to be a clone of Palpatine.
I have a lot of questions, though. Like, how does that work with, like, Force ghosts and things like that?
Oh, there's a lot of lore rights, but in fact, okay, right.
Like, because, like, genuinely, there's clones of him.
In The Dark Empire, which is a series of novels which were considered obviously extended universe, now they're considered legends. In the Dark Empire series of novels, the Emperor does do Sith cloning. That's also established in lore throughout the films. You know, he does the whole speech about Darth Plagueis the Wise found a way to treat death. And it's said that Palpatine killed him because he obviously didn't want his master to be immortal, but wanted to carry on his work so that he could be immortal, which apparently he succeeded in. Now, in Legends, he had all these clones on the planet of Biss, and when he's thrown into the reactor core, his spirit, that's what you see sort of exploding from the Death Star reactor, is his spirit leaving his body and he actually goes into one of these clones in the expanded universe. So that's kind of how it's established. Now, I think that's kind of what they were playing into with this film. But again, I don't know about Snoke. I don't believe he's a clone of the Emperor or anything like that. I think he's just a puppet, like a shell who enforces the Emperor's will.
I just wish that they'd have just let Snoke die. I preferred it when he just wasn't around.
To be fair, Snoke didn't come back. That was the end of him. But we did see a little...
I just don't know why they needed to even have we could have come back. Like, I don't need that. I don't need this. We could have just had him not mean anything.
I mean...
And then he's dead.
A big criticism of The Last Jedi, and this is a lot of this film's problem, it tries to explain a lot of The Last Jedi, link it to obviously J.J. Abrams' original film, The Force Awakens. There's a lot of disparity between those two. So this film is a lot of kind of patching up the cracks to some extent. And one of the big criticisms of The Last Jedi was Snoke. Who is he? Where does he come from? Why does he exist? And there's a lot of hints also given in like the lore books and shit. It's like, oh, he wears this black obsidian ring. Comes from the outer regions, which is obviously proven true, but actually just a fucking clone at the Emperor's Sith alchemy behest. He was, I mean, just incredibly underwhelming, wasn't he? What can you say? He was. They needed to give him some backstory, which is exactly what I was talking about with regards to plastering up the cracks. But they gave him so little backstory. They might have just not fucking bothered.
Yeah,
the Emperor could have
said,
"That's my mate Snoke. I knew him from school." He could have said, "That's my mate Snoke. He's my plumber who I asked to stand in for me for a while." His backstory was irrelevant because it's not explained enough for him to become relevant, and he also wasn't a character long enough for anybody to give a fuck.
He could have just been another Sith guy.
Yeah. Like, he could have said, "Oh, that's my apprentice Snoke."
Yeah, my apprentice Snoke tried that out. He died. He died,
so I've
come back. You know, I wanted a little. He could even have had it like where he was like, "Oh, I wanted a little bit longer, you know, to chill out before I retook the galaxy, like the whole universe." But
and there was a reason he needed Snoke as a figurehead was because he was building his fleet in secret. So he needed another guy to go in, sweep up, because in Legends, again, I hate doing this, but it is relevant because the film does tie in a lot to it. The Legends focuses on, although Palpatine does come back, he doesn't actually accumulate a huge amount of power immediately. It's a lot of Imperial war in factions, so like Grand Admiral Thrawn, etc. They're all fighting in one another.
Yeah.
And it's a big Imperial remnant, they refer to them as. So I guess Snoke was kind of the counter to that. They still needed this big threatening force. So Snoke was there to kind of tie them all together and be like, hey, pack that shit in. But it's so poorly handled.
But fuck it.
Yeah.
We don't need this.
Whatever. So Snoke was just a plot device, I think, is the best I can say. He's a faceless plot device that was just there to stop certain problems occurring.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and then Kylo's like, I'm gonna kill you, because he finds Palpatine, and Palpatine's a husk of his former self. He's all shriveled up, and his fingers are fucked up.
Yeah. I don't know what the fuck the deal with that is. That's one of the big plot holes.
They put a lot of emphasis on his fingers.
Right. So he's shown to be very much a desiccated human corpse, kept alive by this big, long, sort of GLaDOS-style machine.
It is, isn't it?
That his body is sort of... I would kind of liken him to Mr. House, for those who've played Fallout New Vegas. Big, massive machine, keeping him alive, and he's like, I need your help ruling the Emperor. And he specifically says that Kylo Ren will be the Emperor.
Yeah.
I'll give you my fleet, you be the Emperor. He's clearly not interested, or so he fucking says, whatever. That was all a bit bullshit as well.
Yeah, and then he says that he needs to go and kill Rey.
Right.
And you don't know what this girl really is.
Oh no!
Oh,
and that's when it starts.
It's
and then
so bad.
Another one, and this is why I say it's all covering up the cracks in the movie continuity. One of the big criticisms of The Last Jedi was, of course, Rey's backstory.
I liked her backstory as it was.
I didn't, but as I've said previously, and I've said this many things. I think I've said it on about 1,000 live streams. It's excusable. One of the big criticisms was the whole Mary Sue thing. Why is she so powerful? Why can she fly a ship well? Why is she so good at a lightsaber with the Force, etc., etc.? And I've made the point, I think this is a perfectly valid point. Star Wars doesn't give a fuck about that. There's literally an omnipotent, force that powers the universe. Loads of characters in Star Wars are powerful without explanation. Anakin Skywalker, bearing in mind that the whole Legends explanation for him.
He's the chosen one.
Right, the chosen one. Literally a messianic prophet, like an allegory literally to Jesus, born of a virgin birth, who's supposed to bring balance to the earth, or in this case the galaxy, I guess.
Yeah.
There are characters who are just born powerful. Yoda, exceptionally powerful. Mace Windu, born powerful. Although, there's a lot of hand waving. Revan, for those of you into your Legends. Anyway, not important. What are we talking about? I've gone on a tirade now.
Rey being powerful without any precedent.
That was fine. Although I didn't like her backstory of just she's no one from a desert planet, your parents were nobody, they sold you, blah, 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 it was explainable.
The thing is, I understood why they chose to make her have not cool parents. Just boring parents. Because there's the whole mystery box thing, isn't it? It's an Abrams thing. Where if you have a mystery, people want to solve it. And then when they took the reins for the second film, they were like, oh shit, he's just fucking made this mystery box and we can't do anything with it. So I appreciated a lot more that Rey wasn't from a fucking random Skywalker line or was secretly a Palpatine.
Well.
And then, things happen. And I understand to a point when people argue about Mary Sue's, but I agree with you with it. From my experience of the Star Wars universe, people can just have a lot of power.
You can just have powerful people, and that's all there is to it.
People really liked her in the first film.
I thought she was alright, yeah. I didn't have any problems with it whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that Rey's okay. I don't love her. She's not my favourite character to have ever existed. For me, the more compelling character is Kylo, but...
Agreed. But now, the Emperor does this whole, you don't know what she really is thing to Kylo Ren.
And then we both looked at each other, and you whispered to me,
She's a
Palpatine.
Yeah.
And
the second they said that, I was like, oh, fuck, they are going to make her a Palpatine. Because they can't make her a Skywalker, because the movie's called Rise of Skywalker, and you've already got Kylo Ren. Sure, it could have been an allegory for his... People were thinking she's Obi-Wan's son, she's a relative of Qui-Gon Jinn, etc., etc. But no, she had to be a Palpatine. Which, there's also a big overarching issue, which I really should have mentioned. I wanted to bring this up in my general thoughts, but forgot. Anakin Skywalker was the chosen one that would bring balance to the Force. The first 3 movies are his backstory. I should say the first 3 movies chronologically are his backstory, his training, his fall from grace, and then the original 3 Star Wars movies, Episode 4, 5, and 6, are his struggles, seeing the Emperor, seeing what damage he's done, and then eventually his redemption, and that's supposed to be it. Star Wars was supposed to be the story of Anakin Skywalker, realistically.
Yeah, he was like the main character, really.
But
not.
But he didn't. The Emperor lived. Somehow.
Yeah.
So the Emperor, he tripped him down a fucking well, which apparently he survived, and that was going to be my other point. The Emperor is shown to be this desiccated corpse, who apparently survived a Death Star blowing up somehow. Unless he did have a shitty clone and transfer his body into it, but if he had a shitty clone that transferred his body into it...
Why is it desiccated?
Why is he hooked up to a life support machine with no fingers and a rotten face, and he's blind in both eyes, etc., etc.? Why did they show him like that if he somehow did transfer his consciousness? What they are establishing is he survived somehow the Death Star blowing up, which... Sure. Okay, let's just say, sure. He'd have put a fucking force shield around himself and flew through the entire galaxy like Leia did in that other movie, but on crack. Okay? That's fine. I will hand wave that away. It's janky and it's full of plot holes, but that's okay. It does undermine the entire story of Anakin Skywalker in that he didn't defeat the Emperor. The Emperor lived.
His redemption was for nothing.
The Emperor lived. The First Order came back. Loads more people died, and then the First Order was super planted by what were they called? The Last Order? The Final Order?
The Final Order.
The Final Order, which is the Emperor's secret thing, still led by the Emperor. Anakin Skywalker's story then becomes fucking moot. He could have done nothing, and the galaxy would have been in a better place, because the Emperor wouldn't have had this... They even call it the biggest fleet the galaxy has ever seen. They've got weapons that have previously never been seen in the galaxy.
They literally, they've got planet-killing weapons on every ship.
They've got Death Star lasers on every ship. The galaxy is in a worse place because of Anakin Skywalker. Which makes no fucking sense given the whole... Anyway, not important. Well, I mean, it is, but we won't talk about it now. Kylo Ren then obviously is like, oh yeah, fuck it, I'll back you, Emperor. Haha, secretly going to betray you later on, because of course he is. To be fair, that's very Sith though, that's very Star Wars. Then, next scene, we've got, they're on the desert planet.
They're on the desert planet.
Right.
And this is where I'm going to go in to some of the sets. There are so many desert planets. The only visually interesting, colour palette wise, really was that party where they were doing the festival, and everything else was pretty
They essentially
bland.
have like a holy festival. The Hindu
that's
festival.
only every 42 years, some shit like that.
Right, so it's like lots of bright colours, powder everywhere to contrast the desert. It's obviously fairly inspired.
Yeah, it's very holy inspired.
Yeah, and then they're walking through, they're like, oh, the First Order somehow found them immediately, which is a common theme throughout this fucking movie.
Well, you mean like how, are you talking about the Force projection, or are you talking about before that?
No, I'm just talking about they're on this planet, and the First Order just happened to be on them like a fucking rocket. They're already there, like there's stormtroopers kicking around.
They do, with dialogue, in fairness, say that the First Order are always...
The First Order patrols there.
Patrolling.
Right, but they kill one guy, they shoot one stormtrooper, Kylo Ren, Knights of Ren, Star Destroyer, troop prisoner transports are there in a flash.
They are all there.
20 minutes they're there. How would that even be possible? I have no clue. Anyway, Kylo Ren immediately teleports in with his fucking army of merry men. They're saved by none other than Billy D. Williams himself, Lando Calrissian in a hat.
Yeah, but you're missing out the Force projection thing again, where they're talking to each other, Rey and Kylo. Because the reason why he finds her is because he steals a necklace that she gets off of the exposition child.
Right, yeah, no, that's right, yeah. Fuck,
yeah.
That was bad, okay.
Yeah, that was bad, wasn't it?
Oh, you're right, yeah, so I was wrong. They don't actually just happen to find them.
No, that's what I'm trying to say.
What actually happens is worse. I completely forgot about that. That's blocked out of my memory. So
he has a talk with her, and he's like, I'm going to find you.
Yeah.
And the Emperor wants me to kill you, but I'm not going to kill you. We're going to become friends and kill him.
Yeah.
And we can rule together, and you want to take my hand. And she's like, go away, Kylo.
It's all an emo showdown.
Yeah, and they have like a bit of a spar, don't they?
But she was given a necklace by one of the people at the festival.
Yeah.
Which Kylo Ren somehow, and this is the biggest bullshit thing.
This is where it gets...
Well, it's up there with the other bullshit things in the movie.
Well, like in the last film, they sort of telegraph it's gonna happen because they almost touch each other, and Luke comes in, is like, no! But in this one...
She's wearing the necklace. Kylo Ren takes the necklace off of her and gives it to his scientists on the Star Destroyer somewhere else in the galaxy to analyze, and then they're like, oh, it comes from this planet over here with a desert on it, and then Kylo Ren's like, oh, prepare my ship, and then they fly over there, then they catch them. Rubbish.
Shit.
It's so
absolute shit.
Unnecessary hand-waving, isn't it? It's just like, oh, God. It's like, how can we bring these two characters together? Oh, we'll use the ultimate Deus Ex Machina, the Force. It is. That's exactly what
it's just a plot contrivance.
It really is, yeah.
And like when she gets given the necklace, the kid's like, "Hey, this is my name," and Rey's like, "Oh, well, this is my name," and she's like, "What's your last name?" And Rey's like, "I don't have one." It's like, "Oh, great, okay."
They really do hammer
They fucking
home
ham it up, don't they?
the point that she is gonna find out her name.
Wow, the thing that we thought we'd resolved in the last film that I didn't want to have to listen to again. Like, the problem is they retread so many plot threads from the last film.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly why I'm using that allegory of them patching up the cracks, because that's literally all this movie seems to be. It seems to be an apology for The Last Jedi.
And it's not a good apology. It's like, I would have preferred if they'd have moved on with what they had and just made a good film. And, you know...
Oh, is that all?
Yeah. You know, moved on with what they had. Like, you could have moved on from Rey's parentage and Snoke and just had Palpatine be a good villain, because...
Agreed, yeah. I don't think they needed to bring that Rey Palpatine... That's her official name, by the way, Rey Palpatine. Because she is the daughter. They actually fully establish it. She is the daughter of Palpatine's son, who would have probably been about 80 at the time he gone around fucking. Bearing in mind that she's the same age as Kylo Ren, who is Darth Vader's son, and Darth Vader was young enough to be Palpatine's son. So there is like some, because he was obviously the surrogate father figure to. So there's a whole generation missing in the Palpatine line. So he must have been an old as all fuck when he did a diddle. Anyway, not important.
Not important.
He has a son. The son has a daughter who is Rey. So she is officially Rey Palpatine. Anyway, yeah. So Kylo Ren tracks down to the desert planet using his magic beads. And then they have a bit of a showdown. And this is one of the scenes from the trailer where Kylo Ren's charging a ship at her. And she does the flip over the top of the...
That was a good trailer shot.
That was, yeah.
You missed out a tiny bit where like they set up something.
So they go... The reason they're on the planet is obviously to find the Sith Wayfinder. They find some crashed ship who's apparently this very convenient. Also, oh god, there's so much I want to talk about. There's so much I want to complain about.
We might need to split this into a couple of episodes.
I know. There's so much I want to complain about because fuck me. Anyway, right, sorry. Let's do this chronologically because I'm getting ahead of myself quite quickly.
Right, we need they run away from some boys that find them. They get saved by Lando.
Lando Calrissian takes him in his ship. They say, "Oh, we're looking for the Sith Wayfinder." Billy D. Williams, Lando Calrissian himself, says, "Oh, me and Luke came here looking for that same thing, but we couldn't find it, despite the fact that they followed this guy across half the galaxy. Within 5 minutes, they have found the ship."
Yes, they do have a boring chase scene with some stormtroopers.
Some stormtroopers chasing down on a speeder bike, they blow them up.
Yep, and then they fall into a pit of sand.
Right, so they find this spaceship that apparently Lando and Luke tracked halfway across the galaxy, and that was it. That's all they could find, the end. And that's the end of Luke's story. But then they fall into a very, very movie-typical Indiana Jones-style pit of quicksand.
Yeah.
And they end up in a magic cave where there's a big angry dog.
It's a dog.
Whatever it was, a big snake.
It was a snake. It was a snake, and then they like sort of foreshadow some stuff by having Rey give some of her life force to this snake.
So they canonize force healing, which in Legends is a Jedi... a Jedi's ability. It's exclusively said as something only a Jedi can do because it requires peace of mind, connection with the Force, whatever else, which is why also hinted at the end of the film with the redemption. Anyway, we won't talk about that yet.
The redemption.
She heals this big wormy thing with her force powers to show that obviously she's very adept, because it's obviously quite a difficult thing to do. The worm gets up and is conveniently led against the door, which they couldn't get out of. It's literally like a fucking video game. It's Snorlax with the flute. That's exactly what it fucking was. Snorlax was blocking the way. Rey plays a magic flute to go along with the magic beads, and he moves out the way of the door. They also find the body of the pilot that Luke and Lando could not find in their many years of looking immediately, who has a knife. This is so contrived now that I'm talking about it. They find a knife which tells them where to find the map, which tells them where to find the Emperor.
But it's in the Sith language, which only C-3PO can translate, but he's not allowed to translate it because it's a naughty language.
Right, so the Sith language is... Now, this is... actually kind of cooler than you think. He says that the Sith language was forbidden in an act by the Senate. Who was in the Senate at that time? Chancellor Palpatine. Palpatine obviously didn't want them finding out the Sith secrets, so he passes an act. And this was all implied, by the way. This wasn't obvious, but I thought this was quite cool. Palpatine has passed this act, and C-3PO brings us up that, the Senate banned droids being able to translate Sith, because, of course, then they find out, Palpatine's a fucking Sith Lord, or, these guys are able to uncover all my Sith secrets. So, protocol droids are not allowed to talk about Sith, unless you conveniently hack them. Why the rebellion wouldn't be able to do that, or why, people interested in Palpatine's secret wouldn't be able to hack a fucking droid, I've no idea, but hey. That's downloaded into his memory, and then they're about to leave the planet. Kylo Ren turns up. That's when she does the flip over his TIE fighter, chops a wing off, and he goes to have his face down with her. And then I don't remember what happens next, so I'll let you take the rest.
So Poe and Finn are trying to get the ship to start, because they go onto the shipwreck that guy left. And they find a new droid!
Disney's new range of toys. It's
Dio!
What's it called, Dio?
It's called Dio.
It's BB-8, but it's got a wheel.
And
it talks English.
Yep.
But kind of badly.
It's like an autistic droid.
It's like a beaten dog.
Yeah.
Because it's like all weird at communicating and sort of backs away from her and all of this crap.
And then Ray's all like, oh, you've been treated badly.
You've been treated badly. It's a fucking droid. Anyway.
Yeah, so she goes off the ship because she can feel his presence. She does the flip. And they send Chewbacca to go get her. And Chewbacca gets captured by the First Order. Oh no!
Yeah, he goes around a corner and then he's caught by the Knights of Ren, specifically.
Yeah.
So it's not like a stormtrooper bops him over the head or whatever.
Yeah, so he gets captured, and then Rey sees a shuttle flying away, and she knows Chewbacca is getting captured because Finn shouts at her, like, oh no, Chewbacca! So she tries to catch it with a force thing. Like, she tries to force pull it back to her.
Yeah, so she's stopping it from leaving orbit with her force powers.
And she's doing a pretty good job, and then Kylo starts doing his force shit, and he's trying to pull it towards him, and it looks terrible.
They're having a Dragon Ball Harry Potter style beam battle, except where the beams are implied.
Yeah,
so I can imagine on set that must have been fucking great, because it's just two of them stood there with their hand in the air.
Pretending to exert themselves.
Right, yeah.
And it was really bad, and then... surprise, surprise, we're getting the Palpatine powers out, and Rey zaps it with Force Lightning.
Rey's getting angry because Kylo Ren is basically winning the Force duel, so she gets all angry and overexerts herself and fires a massive lightning bolt,
and explodes up the ship,
seemingly killing Chewbacca. And I thought, holy fuck, that's cool.
I did as well.
I thought that's really cool. That's really brave.
I thought
of Disney
that was really impactful
to kill off a long-term beloved character in a sort of Game of Thrones hand-flicky way. That's all we'll say for the time being.
Yeah, I was really impressed by that moment, and I actually had a surprised laugh out loud, like, wow, they actually did that. I thought in my head that
redeemed this otherwise shitty fucking treasure hunt, which has now become a treasure hunt for another treasure hunt, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it technically becomes a third layer treasure hunt.
Because they have to go, yeah.
They then have to find someone who can translate the knife that they've... So they have to find a hacker.
Right, wait. We're gonna wait for this, because Kylo just lets her walk away.
That's a fair point.
She sees that Chewbacca's been exploded, and she's like, oh.
And then she gets on the ship and they all fly away.
Yeah, and then
Kylo Ren does not get a ship. He does not call in for support, despite the fact there is obvious stormtrooper activity, despite the fact that he himself has turned up on this planet. The Knights of Ren are there, who you would assume had their own ship. He's just like, bye, and they fuck off to go and find their master hacker.
They just look at each other for a second. She looks really sad, and she starts walking away, and he just stood, and it's like, Kylo, you're supposed to be trying to either turn her or kill her, and you're not even bothered with either.
Absolutely infuriating.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
And then they get on the ship, and she's like, Chewbacca died for nothing, and she said that he had the knife, so we're all fucked. And then C-3PO's like, oh, it's the only thing it's got saved now is in my databanks.
Right, yeah.
And they do a load of funny jokes, so many funny jokes with fucking C-3PO, and I honestly, as a non-fan, hate C-3PO. He is a fucking awful character.
Like C-3PO. He is by design a very grating, annoying character.
Yeah, but they tried to play him for laughs so much, and it did not land.
He's the comic relief. There's no fucking cute little animals really.
No, they're in that the Porgs for 1 second.
Yeah, the Porgs are in it for 1 second because of course they fucking
Then there's
are.
Dio, he's supposed to be funny.
Yeah, the little wheel droid, but there's not really any of that. They kind of do that with C-3PO instead.
Honestly, I said to Sam as we watched out the film, the only things that made me laugh, I laughed 3 times. 2 of them from Kylo, of all people, and 1 of them was from Poe.
Kylo Ren.
I could not find any humour in listening to C-3PO.
The last film, Last Jedi, for what it was worth, had some humour. It was horribly forced humour.
Oh, yeah.
But it was so jarring and so dissonant with everything else that was going on, it was funny. Like, for example, I'm going to bring up The Last Jedi very briefly, just as a comparison. They're doing that bombing run at the start of the film, where despite the fact they're in space, for whatever reason, the bombs need to fall downwards. They can't, they're jammed. And then Poe's like, literally rings Admiral Hux on the phone, and he's like, hello, this is Poe Dameron, I'm fucking about to blow up your spaceship, you big asshole. And he's like, who is this? How did you get this number?
He's so Jim Sterling, isn't he? He's
it's...
His response is incredible. The more I think about it, the more I like Hooks.
There was none of that in this movie.
No.
There was no obvious over-forced humour, which again, I think is in response to The Last Jedi specifically.
It's sort of better, but sort of not. Like, it starts off, and I felt just, this is going back to the first, like, sort of scene, where it opens up after Kylo's gone to see Palpatine, cuts from Palpatine being spooky to a fucking shitty game that Chewbacca is playing with Finn and Poe. They're like, why can't we beat him?
Oh, you mean,
it's so sad that we can't beat him.
Space chess, I can't remember what it's called now, bar something. Anyway.
Yeah, and I was like, this is just tonal whiplash in not a fun way for me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, moments where C-3PO says something and everyone just looks at him like, what? Or, like, we'll go into it later, but, like, a moment with Leia where, like, the dialogue is so painful. Like, the bit with the man who's saying bad things and they're like, oh.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very one-liner heavy because, again, I think it's aimed at children, and children are more likely to pick up on very direct, obvious, towards the camera dialogue.
And it wasn't good.
So they're on their quest now. The treasure hunt has got its new layer. So
they need to go to a new planet
right.
that Poe is not really allowed on, but they have a person that can hack droids.
They're searching for the Emperor. They need a map to find the Emperor, they need the knife to find the map, and now they need a hacker to hack the droid to get the knife translated to find the map to find the Emperor. Any questions? Good, no. So they land on this planet, which is very much, it's a very typical sort of Star Wars hive of scum and villainy type of thing, and there's apparently this master hacker. Poe's done something questionable in his past, and he can't get on there. It's very sort of Han Solo almost.
Oh, yeah, like, there's this bit where Finn says to Rey, like, oh, I never told you, when they're going into the sand. Does he ever explain that?
No. So he's about to confess something to her when they think they're all about to die, and that's it. That's never brought up again,
I was wondering,
up, but it's never...
It never gets resolved. But, like, Poe, when they're in the cave with the snake, goes like, oh, are you going to tell us what you were going to say then? Because she asks him, and, he says, oh, we'll talk about it later. And he's like, you're going to ask her when I'm not around, aren't you?
Yeah, it's so
And
weird.
Poe gets really, like, defensive. Poe's, like, weird in this film because, like, there's that dick imagery where she turns on her lightsaber and he has his little piddly torch and he gets like meh about it.
Yeah, she's got that big dick energy and he's got
and he's got that
just a light
small cock energy.
Wow.
I don't understand it though. Like, and they start off the film with him and her arguing, and it's like, why?
They're very confrontational, aren't they?
Yeah,
it's sort of like.
They've made them, like...
marred the relationship between Rey and Poe. I don't remember what their relationship was like before, not gonna lie.
To be honest, I don't even remember it being anything in particular.
Fucking committed.
In fairness, I didn't really feel much about Finn and Rey's relationship from the second film. Like,
no, they just seem like a loosely associated group of friends, and that's it.
Yeah, and then as they get to this planet, they see a load of bad things happen. Stormtroopers are dragging people out of houses.
Very reminiscent of the first scene of The Force Awakens, where Kylo Ren, I don't know if you vaguely remember this, goes on the planet, he's looking for the map to Luke Skywalker,
yeah,
another fucking clitting map to some...
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then Finn is like, I don't want to do this.
Right, that scene, very, very similar to that. The Stormtroopers are going through a city, they're just doing they're just being evil for the sake of being evil, shooting people, they've got AT-STs on the planet for some reason, they're just keeping order. It's martial law, very Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
They meet an unnamed, kind of unfaced woman. She's just wearing armor and a mask.
Yeah, I do like her armor, but they give her sort of the cool lady treatment, where they make her and Rey and, like, have a sort of, because she's angry at Poe for some reason.
Yeah,
and you find out about Poe's backstory, which I didn't care about.
No, who gives a fuck?
I didn't care about his backstory.
The thing, his backstory is kind of irrelevant as well. Poe was a spice smuggler. That's it.
That's what Poe did.
Spice being a like a narcotic, basically. It's a reference to June. With which is another sci-fi with Spice. Is it June? I don't remember. I've said that now with such confidence, and now I'm not even sure I'm right. But another obviously Spice thing there. It's just basically like he was a smuggler. That's it.
Yeah. And this lady's like, you left, and I'm angry at you. And then he's like, hey, we should be friends again. And then she's like, hey, we could take Ray in for ransom. And then she beats up all the boys and girls. And the lady's like, I know you don't care, but I like you. And Ray's like, I do care.
It's so weird.
And it's just like, what the fuck are you two doing? I've written this down because I wrote a few little thoughts, and I wrote on here, I do not care about your new characters, because I don't.
Nobody cares about the new characters, that's the problem.
Like, I do not care about this new lady. I do not care about the droid person that they bring up that's basically just an alien that talks gobbledygook. I do not care about Finn's new sidekick that they made because nobody liked Rose. I
Very true.
do not care about any of these characters. And it's very difficult to like care about this.
All of the uncareable characters. That's honestly why I think they brought Palpatine back. That's why they brought Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian. There's also surprise appearances. Spoilers for future scenes. There's also a surprise appearance from Han Solo as obviously a memory or a Force ghost. It said
he's
just
not really
memory.
a Force ghost.
Yeah, he does specifically say he's a memory. Luke Skywalker turns up as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the other Jedi give voices. Anyway, we'll talk about that as it comes up. But they do keep bringing back other characters because I just feel like they can't write fucking characters.
No, they can't.
I just don't think they can do it. So speaking of which, one thing I did want to bring up, and I did mention it very briefly, that's another reason why I think they are trying to make Poe Dameron into the new Han Solo character.
Yeah.
Just like Han Solo, he was a smuggler. Just like Han Solo, he's a pilot. Just like Han Solo, he has a companion, obviously in the form of BB-8, but this, obviously, Han Solo's was Chewbacca and whatnot. I feel like they're very much trying to play him as that, and that sort of also comes across in his personality as like this uncaring flyboy to some extent who's just got his eye on the prize, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So they go meet the droid person, who is a tiny little alien. Now, one thing I will bring up, and this has always been my criticism of all three of the sequel films, they bring back no alien races, as far as I could tell, besides one Mon Calamari, the bug-eyed Admiral Akbar.
Yeah, I know.
Besides one Mon Calamari, none of the other species are referenced, and actually, this is partially why I like The Mandalorian so much, because in The Mandalorian, there are Twi'leks, there are Devronians, there are Trandoshans, etc. In this, there's fucking nothing. There's just a bunch
there's
of...
Porgs, though.
There are Porgs, and there are vaguely Star Wars-looking aliens. Now, I understand it's a big galaxy, but it's established that humans are dominant, Twi'leks are dominant, those other races are big as well. You don't see any of it.
Yeah, you see a lot of humans.
There's a lot of humans and humanoids, and then far from the other spectrum, big slug creatures.
There was that weird tit beast. I don't even know.
Tit beast?
It was like this fucking creature. I looked at it and I looked at you.
The one with the antennas on its head.
Maybe? It looked like Super Meat Boy.
Either way, it doesn't really feel like it's still part of the same Star Wars universe, because the only recurring Star Wars alien that you saw was a Mon Cala, as far as I could tell. I will admit, didn't have my glasses, so...
and that's another thing, the setting was boring. Like, the actual, like...
The droid workshop.
The whole bar that they walk through wasn't very interesting.
They do walk through, don't they? Yeah, it's very sort of Mos Eisley Cantina, again, dark.
But the cantina was interesting. When I looked at... Because I haven't seen that film, but I've seen the fucking, like... imagery they used there, and it was way more interesting than this fucking bar they just walked through.
They just walk through it, and there's a pan to like vaguely Star Wars looking aliens and a bartender with a cybernetic eye.
Who rolls his eyes at C-3PO.
And then they go to the droid hacker, cute little alien. Well, I say cute little alien, it's like
I've said that he was the baby Groot of the film.
He is.
He is a baby Groot.
He's very much a character made likeable for likeable's sake. He has a lot of very obvious dialogue. I say dialogue. He speaks in gobbledygook,
and then occasionally speaks
speaks broken English for the haha funnies. Hack C-3PO. Then there's a scene from a trailer that a lot of people massively overanalyzed, which is C-3PO with the red eyes. That turns out is just C-3PO booting up.
And it's him speaking in Sith.
Right. It's the equivalent of his boot up noise, and then he speaks some Sith, and then he just goes back to normal, and his memory's wiped. Yeah. That's it. People saw that, bearing in mind that Solo, I believe, was the last Star Wars film to come out, wasn't it? And a big
so.
theme in Solo is, of course, sentient droids, droid independence.
Yeah.
Droids going haywire. They obviously download the droid into the Millennium Falcon, etc. Make a big deal out of that. And everybody thought, oh, C-3PO, it's going to tie into that. It's going to be this big droid uprising or something. That might even set up future films. No, it's just he speaks one line of Sith that he read on a dagger, and then he goes to sleep, and then R2-D2 restores his memory later on.
I wanted, in that moment, for C-3PO to be gone.
If he was dead, that would have been more impactful.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been impactful, because it's fucking C-3PO.
Because C-3PO. But it would... Like, a lot of this film, and I'm going to go forward a tiny bit to the scene where Chewbacca, spoilers, is broken apart because Leia is dead, and he's really unhappy. And he's one of the only things. Again, I'm not a fan, but I felt bad for this character because like everybody more or less that he knew is dead.
Well, they do establish that he's 250 years old in that.
Yeah,
scene, which is quite.
He's old,
yeah.
and he's almost everybody that he's ever known and cared about is dead, and he's losing the people that he cares about. So I felt sad for him that he'd lost all these characters. And C-3PO would have been another one where it would have been impactful because it's another character that Chewbacca, who still lives, and other characters that still live would have lost. Like R2-D2 would have been unhappy about it.
Yeah.
But instead, they just bring him back, and he's still annoying. Great.
So we'll just skip past some of the other crap because so they resurrect 3PO. Find out what it says on the knife, and it says something like...
it says that it's this place.
It's on a vault on the Death Star, basically. That's what the knife says.
Yeah.
So they go back to at that stage, they go back to the rebellion, don't they?
Yeah.
Because that's when C-3PO gets his memory restored. They're hiding on a forest moon somewhere. I don't think it's ever established where the rebels are hiding out. It's not Dantooine or anything like that, as far as I know, but they go back there and they tell her, and then C-3PO gets his memory. Is this what I'm thinking of?
I'm not sure. Do they actually go back? I think they only go back after Leia's...
Oh, you're right.
Goodbye.
Actually, you're right. Because the only reason I remember that is because Poe Dameron says, we don't have time to go back to the base. And I thought, that's fucking funny. You hyperspace jumped at the start of this movie across the whole fucking galaxy multiple times in a minute. And now you're saying you don't have time to go back to the base. Hi, Leia. Just letting you know, we found something that's key to saving the entire galaxy. Bye. And then you can do your fancy, they call it hyperspace skipping, officially.
Yeah.
You do your hyperspace skip straight in the fucking Death Star, seeing as that's apparently established as canon now.
I remember what happens.
Uh-huh.
So immediately after they sort out the droid thing, and they're about to get caught... Star Destroyer.
Right, yeah. So the woman that they met earlier... Deus Ex Machina again. She happens to have an Imperial Captain's Medallion, which is essentially like a clearance code, no questions asked Imperial gift, which will allow anybody to travel anywhere. So they use it to land on the Star Destroyer, no questions asked.
They do try with this lady to make it seem like her and Poe could get together or like have had feelings for each other. Problem is, I don't care. She's like, do you want to come with me instead of staying here?
It's like, who is this fucking character?
Like, we don't know who she is. We don't care about her because she's just another part of Poe's past.
And I don't care about Poe Dameron, I should point out.
I don't care about Poe. I don't care about Finn. I barely care about Rey. Again, the only character I am interested in is Kylo.
I agree. I actually do agree.
And so she's like, oh, well, if you're not going to come across the universe with me, I'm going to help you out. So she gives him the coin. Poe gets them onto the Star Destroyer.
At this point, Kylo Ren has arrived again and has landed on the planet. And him and the Knights of Ren are once again looking for them on a different planet in a different part of the galaxy.
Yeah.
They go up to the Star Destroyer for a reason I don't remember. Oh, to free Chewbacca,
Just
right.
because Rey senses Chewbacca's
She
alive.
realises Chewbacca's alive, thus undoing any good faith they built up earlier when she taps into the dark side and blows up Chewbacca. Turns out he's alive. Different transport ship. Despite the fact that...
That was so annoying. Where did the other transport ship go? How did she not see it?
Despite the fact that her and Kylo Ren are established to be able to sense each other, apparently across the Klitting galaxy, she can't sense that transport happened to have C-3PO on it. Chewbacca on it. Anyway, Chewbacca's alive. They go to the Star Destroyer to try and rescue him. They also get back the Millennium Falcon while they're there because it was impounded. Why? Oh, because they left it on the desert planet.
Because they left it on the desert planet.
Got it. Right.
So yeah, they're talking to their little shitty Droid and they get left on the ship with C-3PO and R2-D2. She goes in and they're gonna go get Chewbacca, and she's like, "No, I need to get the knife." So she splits off of the.
Why does she need to get the knife? Do we establish that?
She ends up using it to find the
Wayfinder.
Wayfinder.
Oh, because the knife itself is also part of the map.
And she just has a feeling that she needs it.
Yeah, again, Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, she has a feeling, and then that's brought up a lot in the film. Like, Finn has a feeling, and he's like one with the Force. But yeah, so she goes off on her own. They get Chewbacca. Chewbacca's like, "Wow, you came to save me," and they're like, "Yeah." But
things go tits up. They're captured by stormtroopers.
And they have a really boring laser battle.
Boring laser battle. They're captured by stormtroopers who then take them to a new Grand Admiral. I don't remember his name. I don't believe he's a previous character. Maybe he's been in Rebels or something. I've not watched Rebels. I don't recognize him. They take him to this new head admiral. Hux has been demoted, I can only assume. He's also on this ship, by the way. Hux is all like, "Oh, we've got these prisoners," and the guy's like, "Go and execute them." So they take them specifically to the execution room, which is conveniently just 3 stormtroopers and General Hux. Or not General Hux anymore, I guess. I've no fucking clue.
I don't know. Hux then says, "I want to shoot him."
Yeah.
And then Hux, like, Poe and Finn have a funny moment where Poe's like, "What do you want to say to Rey?" Like, what? He's like, what were you going to say to Rey in the sand pit?
Finn's like, "Oh, is there a better time?" And he's like, "There's no going to be no better time."
Like, is there nothing else you want to say to this guy that's, like, almost like your best mate that you've made across all of these films when you're about to die? Nah, he wants to know what Finn wanted to say to Rey. And then there was no payoff for any of this.
Hux shoots the stormtroopers.
And, like,
spoilers, the guy at the start that they
says that he was the mole.
Hux is the secret mole, despite the fact they spent two movies, I should say, establishing him as the other main antagonist, the military leader of the Imperials, who's somehow been demoted, probably by Kylo Ren, let's be honest. That might be an understandable way for that to happen. They've obviously had this rivalry. Kylo Ren demotes him, puts another admiral in charge. He wants to get revenge against Kylo Ren, but that's it. That's his entire thing.
I literally wrote here that Hux's betrayal rings hollow when you go back to looking at his Nazi speech from, like, the previous film.
But that's the point. They've tried to redeem this otherwise irredeemable character.
They've even tried to redeem him, though, because he's like, they've just sort of, like, because it was clear that Hux was going to betray Kylo. I think it was clear that it was going to happen.
Right, they've built up their rivalry over all the films.
But what they should have done was have Hux try to take power, not just fucking be like, "Oh, I hate Kylo Ren, so I want him to lose."
Right, yeah, that's literally...
That's like his justification.
He says, "I don't want you guys to win, I want Kylo to lose, go free." Leads them to the Millennium Falcon, they get in the ship.
And the C-3PO and their mates find them.
Right, they all find one another, meet up, get on the Falcon, and this time Kylo Ren has come... Oh,
no, because we need to talk about Rey and Kylo, yeah.
Yeah, right.
So...
Rey goes into Kylo Ren's bedroom, sees his Avenged Sevenfold pictures, and whatever else, anyway.
Sees Darth Vader's head.
Darth Vader's, not head, helmet, on his mantelpiece. Also finds very conveniently laid out, not in storage, not in like a
not in like a safe.
Not in a confiscated goods. It's in Kylo Ren's bedroom. Conveniently on his desk is Chewbacca's bowcaster, his belt, and then also the dagger. And then she picks up the dagger, and then Kylo Ren does another
force projection.
Yeah, the force link they've got going on. And then they have kind of a... This is where it still gets fucky. They like doing this a lot.
God,
they have another fight. This is the second fight now.
I think so. And then him and her, like, have a little chat, and he's like, "I know who you are," and she's like, "No."
And then he's like, "Actually, you knew all along, why didn't you remember?" And then she starts to remember. They have a bit of a fight.
And then he says it'll tell her if she sees him. And he realizes, so this is something that I complained to you a little bit about on the way out of the film. So, like, during the fight, they start destroying things around them, and some of it starts to materialize in their versions of the world.
So Rey slices at Kylo, misses, knocks over a stand with some more fucking magic beads on it.
Yeah, she cuts open a pot and the beads
fall out. And they materialize in Kylo Ren's bedroom, which is where she's physically stood.
Yeah.
So the beads appear. Then conversely, Kylo Ren slices at her, misses, hits the Darth Vader helmet off of the side, and somehow he knows that, and then goes, "Oh, that's where you are."
It shows the helmet on the floor with him.
Yeah, falls on the floor next to him in this other reality, and then he says, "Oh, that's where you are."
The issue is that these things Sorry, am I cutting you off?
No, I was going to get onto an angry point.
Go on, you have your angry point.
So they've already established that Force projections are uncorporeal, bearing in mind the Luke Skywalker scene from Last Jedi, whereby he's fighting the whole of the Force. You know, when Kylo Ren's like, blast him with everything you've got, and they'll fire at Luke Skywalker, and then he stood there fine. Then they have the lightsaber duel, and Luke Skywalker dodges everything he does. He gives Leia the dice, which dematerialize. Also worth mentioning. But now suddenly it's corporeal. It's physical. I don't know what the fuck.
It's sort of weird. So like the beads are on the floor, then they're not there anymore. Like they've disappeared.
I think the implication is that through their Force bond, they can sort of sense, or yeah, I guess sense is the right word, each other's surroundings and things like that. They can kind of pick up on what's going on.
But they sort of ruin that later.
However, yes, that's excusable. Later in the film, they once again go against this established. So not only now can Force ghosts, Force projections interact and fight with one another, which obviously goes contrary to what happened in The Last Jedi. It also goes contrary to any previous Star Wars canon where the Force ghosts obviously of Yoda and blah blah blah. They can use the Force because that makes sense. They are the Force at that point.
Yeah.
However, they weren't able to do anything corporeal. Now they can do things like corporeal, and then at the end of the movie they do something even more fucky, but we'll talk about that as we get to it.
The sacred text. Sorry, I just remembered the fucking lightning.
Yoda, yeah, that's cool. So, after that, what happens? Fuck me, I can't remember.
So he figures out that she's in his bedroom because he sees
Knocks
the
over the Darth Vader. Right.
So he decides to come back, and she goes out to the loading bay where all the ships are because she's waiting for Kylo, and she's like, he turns up. Everyone else is about to get on the Falcon, and they've figured it out because Hux has taken them, and Finn shoots Hux because Hux
to make it look like to make it look like they overpowered Hux.
Yeah, and then Rey asks Kylo who she is, and he's like, I've never lied to you. Like, I think that's during the Force projection thing, but it doesn't matter. Like, I never lied to you. Your parents really were nothing, but you're a Palpatine.
Yeah, he's like, but your grandfather is Palpatine.
Yeah. And she's like, no.
Not quite Darth Vader.
Not quite
style.
Darth Vader. No.
In your anger, you killed her. Style, no. But do they have another fight there?
They don't. I think.
Oh, he puts out his hand and he's like.
Yeah, there's this like the forced parallel between the other film where like he has his hand out and like the same position and everything.
He's like, we both have darkness in us or something like that. Very emo Tumblr fucking.
I forgot his helmet. Oh god, well, let's talk about that in a second.
All right, and then he's like, we both have darkness in us. Join me, because of course he's Darth Vader's grandson. She's Palpatine's granddaughter.
Yeah, so they're meant to be
want to rule together. She thinks about it for a second. I think it's kind of implied. Then the Millennium Falcon conveniently appears by the window and she jumps into it. Which has happened in so many fucking movies at this stage of lost interest.
Yeah.
She flies off. They all fly off to go and find this. So bear in mind, they have not yet found the map to the Emperor. They've got the tools they need to find the place where the map is hidden so that they then can find the Emperor.
Yeah. Kylo's mask, he puts it back together. Right. For some reason.
The Sith alchemists on the Emperor's planet, on Exol or Exodol or whatever the fuck it's called, when he goes there, I guess he takes his helmet fragments with him?
I don't know. Like, so I think that, like, obviously it's supposed to be, like, imagery, like, oh, he's going back to the dark side, he's putting his mask back on, he's turning away.
His bonds with the dark side and
all
that crap.
And it's fucking stupid. And the mask looks ridiculous.
What happened to his mask in the first place? Oh,
he smashes it.
He smashes it against the elevator, doesn't he?
Because he's angry.
And then in the first week when Snoke's like, take that ridiculous thing off. I love that so much.
But yeah, and he actually takes off the mask because I think he has it on, like, for everything. And then he talks to her about her being Palpatine and takes off the helmet when he wants to hold his hand out to her. To be like, I'm facing you, Rey. I'm pretty sure that's what happens.
Is that when he says, take my hand, and she's like, I want to take your hand, but Ben's hand?
No, that's later.
Or is that later on?
That's later.
Their third/fourth fight. They fight a lot, and it's completely inconsequential as well. Let's not worry about that yet. That'll come on to the end.
So they end up going to this planet to where the Death Star is.
So they go to the forest moon of Endor, where the Ewoks... Actually, I believe it is, but in hindsight, it might be the Death Star 2, I guess.
It probably
was above Endor. Death Star 1, when did that blow up? That blew up at Yavin, so it could be, like, one of the moons of Yavin, but I doubt it. Anyway, they go to where the throne room of the part of the Death Star...
No, we have to talk about Finn's new sidekick.
Yeah, I know, I'm coming to that, but I'm saying that the throne room of the Death Star where it landed, whatever planet it landed on, is this, where this next scene is going to take place.
Yeah, so they're on this planet, there's a big sea with lots of scary waves, and, like, they've crashed the ship because the landing gears are dead, and they meet this lady who's on a weird horse alien.
Yeah.
And, like, her and Finn bond because they're both ex-First Order, and, like, he was a clone, and obviously she was born and stolen as a baby, and that's actually, like, Lando later goes, oh, we'll find out where you're from, and it's like, okay, nobody cares about this character, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, well, I don't know what that scene was about, but we'll talk about that when we get to it.
So she's talking to Finn, and basically, like, before they look at the sea, and Rey's like, this is where we need to go, because she uses the knife. And then the lady's like, oh, I can take you there tomorrow. And Rey's like, no. And Poe's like, nah, you gotta wait. Even though, like, a minute ago he was saying that they don't have time to even go back and talk to Leia. But whatever. So she... Oh, we missed out the fucking terrible Leia dialogue.
Oh, that's when that happens, right?
Yeah, because so like when they're on the planet and like fighting, well, when all of the saving Chewbacca shit is happening.
I don't remember the actor's name, but for those of you who watch Heroes, it's the guy who plays Matt Parkman. Is a rebellion pilot who's been in the other couple of movies. He goes up to Leia and he's like, we've not heard back from the Falcon. And then Leia says the most redundant line of dialogue I've ever heard in the entire history of film. She says, this mission has to be a success. And it's like, that's not how people speak. He goes up to her and says, you know, we've not heard from the Falcon. Not did she say, when's the last time you heard of it? Shall we send some people to help? Do you think they need help? Etc, etc. This mission has to succeed. No fucking shit, this mission has to succeed. It's the fate of the galaxy. Anyway.
And for some reason, Rose is there.
Yeah, Rose is there for... they actually make a big point of that. And again, apology for The Last Jedi, I think, is what that was. Finn says to Rose, do you want to come along? And then Rose says something along the lines of, I'm needed here to fix ships. Do you remember that? Just when they get on the Millennium Falcon. I think that was very much a... Yeah, Rose is going to take a back seat because of how much, obviously, hate they received for that in the last movie, how much hate the actress received, obviously, unfairly. But I feel, again, it was very much an apology for Last Jedi. Like, okay, we're going to feature less Rose this time.
Yeah, I literally wrote on my paper, dealt with Rose by giving Finn a new sidekick and fobbing her off.
That's exactly what they did.
They just fucking basically wrote Rose out almost entirely. And, like, even when there's the final, like, again, I'm stupid before, but even the final, like, celebration scene where everyone's all happy, Finn just looks at her, like, as she's having a good time.
He, like, looks at her and gives her a head nod or something like that.
Like, mate, last film you were in love with each other. What happened?
Like, deep tonguing on the fucking spaceship and she saved his life and stuff, and now there's nothing.
And now they're just like, oh, well, I guess that happened, but he's gonna not do anything. Like, whatever. They could have at least had, like, a moment where he'd gave her a hug and then went to talk to his mates. Anyway, moving on.
We need the dialogue of Leia, because we're analysing, like, every last little detail, which is fine, but it's already like an hour and 30 minutes.
We need to talk about Leia being like, you need to be more positive.
Right. So Matt Parkman says to her, "Oh, fucking ship's commission." She's like, "You need to be more positive," and then he's like, "Oh, everything's great. It's fine. It's great. How are you?" Etc. Etc.
And it's not funny.
It's not funny. It doesn't make any sense. It felt really tonally dissonant. Bearing in mind the last scene, she basically found out she's a Palpatine. They're on this life-defining journey or the galaxy against this galactic threat, and then Matt Parkman's cracking wise. So they then go to this planet where they meet Finn's new sidekick.
Lady.
The ex-stormtrooper woman who's on a horse. Rey commandeers the ship, which we've already covered, but I'm just recapping very quickly because we kind of went off track a little bit.
Yeah.
She commandeers the ship. She goes to the remains of the Death Star, where it's conveniently Palpatine's throne room.
Yeah, and there was like, this is another thing I don't get. Why did they have to have her, like, say, oh, we'll go to tomorrow, it's too dangerous, and then Rey literally just gets there with no effort whatsoever.
Yeah, that is a problem. I think it was supposed to highlight Rey's sort of impatience, compulsiveness.
Oh, she's not like herself.
Right.
But I don't know what Rey is like.
Nature. She's very driven now all of a sudden. She's almost kind of like angry about things. She wants resolution to things.
I don't know what Rey's character is. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really.
I don't really get what her deal is at all. Like, she wanted to be a Jedi really bad, and she wanted to be trained really bad in the last film. I don't remember what she wanted in the first film, really. And in this film, she's just like, I want to do this mission, and that's it. Like, I just don't... She hasn't got character.
No, she really doesn't. She's very faceless in that regard.
She's got no character, and I can't relate to Rey.
They can't write characters.
They can't write women.
I mean, they can't write anyone.
No, that's true.
Have you seen Poe Dameron or Finn?
Like,
or...
At least there was a funny moment out of Poe, but like
true.
Finn was... Right, no, I'll talk about the unambiguously good idea that I really liked later. But, like... Anyway, she's on the ship now. She made it on her own.
She gets on the Death Star, remains, goes into Palpatine's throne room, which I don't know if you picked up on because you haven't seen that movie.
I knew it was Palpatine's throne room.
Goes into Palpatine's throne room where, you know, Luke and Vader have the showdown, and Vader chucks Palpatine
I've seen that scene before.
She walks up to a wall, which very conveniently opens.
I think it's supposed to not be real. I think.
Yeah, but she actually physically picks up the guidance device from
Yeah,
it.
I know, but then suddenly after she's had a weird, like, fight with herself, she's in the room with Kylo again.
Therein lies another big red herring thrown out by the trailer that would have been far more interesting had they pursued it. The dark Sith racing, where she has that fancy snapping double lightsaber that can become a double-bladed lightsaber or like a
light staff.
Lightsaber with another lightsaber. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And by briefly fight, I mean...
It was like seconds.
It's a couple of... Rey sees Rey, and then Dark Rey is like, oh, you should embrace your destiny. And then they have a couple of lightsaber swings, and then Dark
she does
Rey
a weird...
hisses like an angry feral cat at Rey, and then guess who turns
up? And gets spiky teeth.
It's fucking magic Kylo Ren again.
Kylo's just there.
Kylo is literally right there, somehow, through the... Once again, his fucking magic beads probably led him to her. He stood there. They have another fight.
The scenery in the background looks incredible.
This fight actually goes on for... It's actually a lot more... This is the most impactful fight her and Kylo Ren have.
Yeah.
And this is also the one that we saw a lot of in the trailer. They're fighting in the Death Star wreckage, then they sort of climb out of the wreckage and go actually onto the ocean, which of course is still filled with Death Star wreckage. And they're having this big fight, and Rey progressively gets angrier and angrier. That's what that scene is supposed to show. It's kind of like her...
and she's getting angrier and tireder as well.
She's sort of falling to the dark side a little bit.
And for some reason, even though it's supposed to apparently be too dangerous, Finn and his new sidekick just fucking make it. Like, bear in mind that this planet is covered in fucking tidal waves, like full on like huge tidal waves that should be killing them.
Right, and they're
just
jumping through them like
they're just like, hey, we're on the fucking Death Star now, whatever. And then he sees her and fucking Kylo fighting, he just goes, Rey!
And then she pushes him out of the way.
And she force pushes him away.
She yeets him, because she's angry, I assume.
And also because she's trying to protect him, I assume, from...
Wow, I have no idea.
From Kylo Ren. Like,
it's kind of hard to say.
I'm not really sure. She's just like, stay out of this, which clearly he should, because he's fucking walking into a lightsaber
Well,
fight
I don't know. He clearly has the same
all.
teleport magic that Kylo Ren has at this point.
I mean, you're not wrong. And then, like, they end up doing a couple of flips onto different parts of the wreckage, and it looks really dumb.
The issue is so the Anakin Obi-Wan scene out of all the prequels is generally considered one of the best scenes in the whole thing. That and of course the Darth Maul scene versus
the Darth Maul looks really cool
versus Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. They're always praised out of all of the crap writing in the prequels because the choreography, the settings, the soundtrack, especially for Duel of the Fates, is phenomenal.
Yeah,
this was weak.
All of the choreography in this film was weak.
It was like they were two kids fighting with great swords. Like Kylo Ren was doing these massive.
I know. I thought they're supposed to be really, really light.
That's
like,
the whole point.
Lightsabers are light.
They're made of light, and the whole point of lightsabers, as well as it's established in Legends, again, might not be fucking canon, they are really difficult to wield because they have no weight to them.
Yeah.
So only a Jedi can truly wield it, or someone who's force sensitive, because they can sort of predict the blade's movements, but easily they can understand the sort of flow of the weapon. The only other people who can do it, you have to really fucking practice, which is why other people still use vibro swords rather than lightsabers.
Yeah.
You know, that's the argument why everyone doesn't use it, because they are really unwieldy. Kylo Ren is swinging this fucking thing
it's like
around.
a great sword. It's like heavy.
Yeah.
It's like it's got weight.
He's like a fucking elephant. My man's stomping around, swinging a sword over his head, and like turning his back on her in the middle of this sword fight and whatnot. She's also like trying to chip away at him, and it's all very... It's crap. The choreography in Last Jedi...
It's not good.
You know the Snoke throne room scene fight?
Yeah, that was so good.
I thought that as well. And then I watched it back in slow motion.
Yeah.
And then you see a lot of shite. So, like, guards fighting nothing. And like
10 out of 10.
yeah, like guards will step back so that they can't hit her. One of them even goes to hit her and then like loses weapon or like specifically throws his weapon on the floor. There's a lot of problems with that scene.
That's a shame, because when it was going fast, like, I was watching it and I really enjoyed it.
Well, the thing is, there were a lot of distractions. Like, it was a lot of things going on at once.
They were all in red and stuff like that.
Yeah, the big burning flag in the background as well. And there's like a lot going on, so it's very visually dense. This one, though, you can see the issues a lot more clearly because it's Kylo versus Rey on a very grayscale background.
Yeah, like, this is another thing. The colours are really, really boring.
It is boring. They're fighting against a grey sky because it's stormy, the waters are grey, the Death Star is grey.
Like, it's visually very cool, but it's not interesting
it's
because
not fun
the
to
colour
watch.
palette is just so grey. Like, everything is grey as well. Like, when you go to Palpatine's bit, it's like dark and moody and blue. And then...
I mean, the choreography, like I said, being incredibly weak, is normally the thing that can carry Star Wars lightsaber fights. It just could not because it was garbage.
It was slow. That was one of the issues.
What's worse is they kind of doubled down. Now, the soundtrack is another big strong point that Star Wars is always praised for. You know, John Williams wins every fucking award when it comes up for it. However, they decided to emphasize that, and I actually made a proper mental note of this.
They use a lot of the old soundtracks.
He is swinging his lightsaber down at Rey. As he does that, the music stings. So you get a big string section with every hit of the lightsaber.
I noticed that.
And that's how I noticed how fucking slow and methodical and boring it was because the music was in time to the fight, which Star Wars just doesn't do.
Yeah, I agree. It was really, like, very slow. The whole thing was very slow.
And then what happens? I'm trying to think. Oh,
so they fly over again. She gets knocked to the floor because she's too tired. And,
right.
You know, then that fucking alien lady from the last film, who is there.
Oh, Maz Kanata.
Yeah, she's like, oh, Leia has to do one more thing to reach out to her son, and then Leia just dies.
Leia sort of like Luke did in the previous film when he sort of force fought Kylo Ren. Leia kind of does the same thing. She reaches out to Kylo Ren just as he's about to sort of strike Rey down, who's like really fucking... She's really angry, right? That's a big important point, that Rey is livid on the floor. Kylo Ren's about to strike her down, and Leia uses all of her force powers, which she can do, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Kylo Ren and Rey can have a fucking force fight across the galaxy, yet Leia reaches out to do a telegram to Kylo Ren.
And she just goes, Ben.
And she says Ben, then she dies, because that apparently takes so much strength. But as she does that, he drops his guard and Rey stabs him.
Yeah, so
and then she also says, like, Rey as well, to stop Rey going pure dark.
Does she say Rey?
She does something to sort of jostle Rey out of it.
Well,
I don't remember what it was.
Rey realizes she's dead. I don't think she says anything. She just goes, oh, like, Rey says out loud, Leia.
She does something with that. Yeah, she does something with her hand. Leia does something with her hand.
Well, she, like, falls down. Like, her hand
I know, but I think it's kind of implied that she also reaches out to Rey as well to stop her.
Because, like, Rey feels her loss in the Force.
Yeah.
And then Rey's really sad because Leia's dead, and she
and Kylo's fucking dying as well.
Yeah, because she's just fucking impaled him. So she uses that force healing thing.
The force healing thing that was implied.
Yeah.
Which happened earlier on the snake.
So she heals Kylo, and she's like, I did want to take your hand, but I want to take Ben's hand, not Kylo's.
And then she nicks his spaceship.
And then she goes away. And fuck knows what happens with how Kylo gets back, by the way.
Where he gets it, yeah, because he later in the movie he turns up in a TIE fighter. God knows where he gets that, given he's been left on this planet half dead.
Yeah.
Basically.
And he ends up having like emotional talk with his dad, doesn't he?
Yeah, Han Solo appears. In not Force Ghost, but apparently he specifically says, I'm your memory.
Yeah.
And then Kylo Ren's like, oh, Daddy, I'm so
he
sorry.
He actually says dad, and I was just like,
And then he's like, Ben, it's time to come home. And then Kylo Ren turns around and yeets his shitty cross lightsaber into the ocean. And then you see him. Then that's actually it for Kylo Ren until the end scene.
More or less, yeah.
So Rey is now in a spaceship with the map to Palpatine. This is where the movie starts picking up, in my opinion.
It gets better, doesn't it?
So she starts going over to where Palpatine is.
No, she doesn't. She goes to Luke's island.
That's true. For some reason, we have to have another aside. So she takes Kylo Ren's ship, crashes it on Ahch-To, the site of the First Temple, which is where obviously Luke Skywalker was hiding
She
out.
sets it on fire with wood logs.
She she crashes it. She specifically scraps the TIE fighter.
And she's about to throw a lightsaber in there, and then Luke stops her with a
Luke
Force
catches
Ghost.
it. Big reveal that Mark Hamill is in the movie after all. Luke's back. Obviously dead still. He didn't like come back to life, although given everything else that's fucking happened, apparently Palpatine can, so why can't Luke? Anyway.
And they show that it's Luke's island by having a porg on it.
Yeah, they imply the porg, and then she's like, "I'm gonna do what you did and hide," and then he's like, "Oh, a true Jedi's true strength is confrontation or some shit."
They have to confront the past or confront fear.
That was
and he's like, "I made the wrong choice by coming to this island, and what are you scared of?" And she's like, "I'm scared of myself."
And then he floats up his X-wing, which was established, to be fair, in the first movie as being under the water.
He makes her pick up Leia's lightsaber.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's actually one of the coolest scenes in the whole movie, in my opinion, was he gives Rey Leia's lightsaber as well as his own, and there's a scene which takes place after Return of the Jedi, so the 6th film, where Luke and Leia are training on what looks like Endor. It could be Dantooine, it could be fucking anywhere. They're fighting in a forest, and they're both wearing helmets, and then Luke Skywalker takes off his, and it's him as sort of young Mark Hamill, sort of post, like I said, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And then Leia takes off her helmet, and it's her, and they have this big lightsaber fight, and it's very cool. It's like one of the coolest scenes in the movie.
They don't take the helmets off till the end.
Yeah, and then they establish that apparently Leia stopped training to be a Jedi because she saw her son fall into the dark side because he tried to be a Jedi. And I guess she thought that her not being a Jedi would stop that.
I mean, I don't know, 'cause she said at the end of her Jedi journey, her son would die, and she decided that her Jedi journey would be taken on by somebody else.
Right.
So so at this point, you know that Kylo's gonna die.
That's kind of established, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Kylo is not even around for any of this shit, but he tells Rey to take Leia's lightsaber as well, so she takes it, and she goes to find Palpatine.
So she gets in Luke's X-Wing. That's an important point.
And then, everyone's like, "Oh, Master Luke."
Yeah, they're all back on the planet. They arrive there, and then the woman's like, "Oh," it's Poe's like, "We need to speak to the general." And the woman's like, "You don't understand." And then they find out Leia's dead. Chewie breaks down.
And I felt actually sad.
Poe is apparently promoted to leader of the rebellion, like acting general, and then he's like, "I can't do this alone," and promotes Poe.
No.
Sorry, promotes Finn.
Lando walks up, and Poe's like, "I don't know if I can do this." And Lando's like, "Nobody knows they can do this. I had my friends, and that's why we managed to beat the Empire last time."
Right, and then Finn gets his field promotion.
Poe promotes Finn. I really liked that. I really liked that. I thought that, I don't know how you felt, but I felt like Poe was not able to effectively run the Resistance.
Well,
I would not have been okay with it.
They've established Poe's character as being very impulsive and sort of doing things sort of very solo as well. Not to make the obvious Han Solo fucking reference there.
Yeah.
Solo. He's implied to be very much an individual, which is shown in the previous movies where he does his bombing runs by himself and his fanciful line and whatnot. I didn't like it. I don't think that Finn or Poe would have been able to run the whole rebellion.
Well, that's why they only did it for about 5 minutes.
Right. I don't know why Billy D. Williams, Lando himself, doesn't take control. Bear in mind, Lando is the administrator of Bespin, or at least was, so is well connected, has a lot of power.
Yeah,
that does come up later, to be fair.
It wasn't set up, though, was it? It was set up that Poe was going to do it.
So Poe and Finn get their piece in the limelight while Rey is obviously doing a whole Jedi shit.
I actually really liked it. I thought that it was if they were going to have the whole power of friendship thing, and they still need a reason for Finn to be around besides the fact that he's just one of their mates, I think that...
Yeah, I agree, actually.
Like, if Poe can't do it on his own, which I really do believe he wouldn't have been able to do, having Finn there to sort of hold him back a little bit, because, like, Finn's proven to have some attunement with the Force and things like that, so he's supposed to be like a bit of the Leia character.
Yeah, I think that's a fair
Poe
assessment.
is supposed to be like the Han character, and they're supposed to balance each other out a little bit. They're not good.
Oh, no.
No, they're not good, but I think that's what the intent was there, because like Finn even says out loud, "You're not like her," when Poe says he's not like Leia, and he's like, "Yeah, clearly," and it's like, yeah, we know, thank you. The audience knows that Poe is not like Leia.
So this is the bit, if I remember right, where Rey is flying the X-Wing, and then they're on the planet, and
they realise that she's going to find Palpatine.
Pope? Poe Dameron says something along the lines of, we're receiving a signal from Red 5, which is Luke. Oh, no, Pippin says that.
C-3PO says that is this thing from Master Luke.
Yeah, it's Luke's X-Wing. Then they realise, oh, it's Rey. Somehow they fucking put the pieces together.
I'm sure that they'd assume it's Rey, because no other fucker's going to be able to find it.
They say, oh, it's Rey. She's leading us to Palpatine, which she is. I'm trying to remember the order of which things go now, because it was all a bit fast.
I mean, like, they all decide that they're going to go and fight. Poe and Finn are going to be, like, leading the front lines. They figure out that they can get rid of the scanner that, like, controls all the ships.
So they come up with some real fucking bullshit to why this supposedly biggest fleet the galaxy has ever seen is it's because the planet that the Emperor's decided to base himself on is like, got magnetic issues, and it's shrouded by a storm to keep him secret, but it also stops the ships taking off unless they're coordinated by a beacon, like a navigation beacon.
Yeah, and they can't fire and put up shields until they're out of the atmosphere. That's what they said.
Sort of.
I thought that's what they wanted. Like, they can't actually have
this
the
was actually a problem
up.
I had with the movie. In that they do this whole, right, we've got to go fight the fleet thing, blow up the navigation beacon. They go to blow up the navigation beacon.
And then it's not needed.
And then the navigation beacon flips to the other Admiral ship. We didn't mention what happened to Hux.
Oh, God, Hux.
So, after they get on the Millennium Falcon and fly away off the Star Destroyer, Hux goes to the new elite admiral who's worshipping Palpatine now, or serving Palpatine, I should say, because he's been speaking to him secret, sort of like, what is your bid in my master style. Hux goes, oh, they overpowered me and escaped on the Falcon. This new admiral takes the gun off the Stormtrooper and shoots Hux dead immediately.
What a fucking waste.
And then he's like, we found our traitor, and that's it.
That's the end of Hux. That was the closing of Hux's story. What a letdown.
So this new admiral's command ship is there and apparently takes control of the navigational beacon. Here's the problem. They say they have to hit the navigation beacon from the inside, or they can't just shoot it for some reason. However, if your theory of their shields, they can't activate their shields, whatever, till they're out in orbit is true, why could they not just shoot the navigation beacon, which is shown quite clearly on the external side of the ship?
Cause reasons.
Right, thank you. I thought that was a plot hole. So what happens is we'll deal with the space battle first, because there are two scenes that happen simultaneously at this stage. The Rey confronting Palpatine in the Sith Temple, and then also the fleet battle happens simultaneously.
Yeah.
So we'll deal with the space side of things first and how that ties into the Palpatine stuff later.
Yeah, so they decide that Lando and Chewie are gonna go. I think it's Chewie who goes with him, doesn't he? And they go and try and find help.
I remembered another alien that's been in Star Wars.
Which alien?
Nien Nub? I thought you'd look at me blank. There's a guy on the run on the Death Star 2 that sits next to Lando in the cockpit. It's not Chewbacca, it's a little alien. And he goes like, he, and he's like he's called Nien Nub.
Okay.
That's it. Or he could be Tien Tub, and Nien Nub is another one of the species from KOTOR. Don't remember, it's one way around or the other. Either way, it's either him that reappears, or one of his species is also part of the rebellion. So I remember thinking, oh, that's the second alien that's from the Star Wars expanded universe that's brought back again.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they've got to take out this navigation beacon. Was that the bit we were up to?
Yeah, I was talking about Lando going to find some friends.
Yeah, Lando and Chewie have fucked off to go and find some allies.
Yeah, and then Finn's job is to get rid of the ground beacon, and Poe's job is supposed to look after the air.
So they're targeting, they even expressly say target the guns on these Star Destroyers, because these Star Destroyers are established to have big planet-killing guns on the other side.
And
very much just like the Death Star.
Yeah, and they think that if they shoot the guns, they'll destroy the whole ship.
Well, it's more specifically that he says every gun destroyed is a planet saved.
Oh yeah, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying like the way they think is going to happen is that, like, I think Rose says something about if they shoot the guns, they think it'll destroy the whole ship.
Oh right, okay, I missed that.
And he does say that though, that every gun destroyed is a planet saved.
So then. Oh god, what happened? So.
Are you gonna go to Rey, or are you gonna go into?
No, we'll stick with the space battle for a little bit longer.
So they're going in, and Finn is like, I can see the thing, the satellite,
the navigation beacon. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it suddenly
on the Star Destroyer. This is, by the way.
No, this is on the floor. This is the ground one.
Oh, we've already covered this.
No, because then the guy on the ship is like, "Oh, shut it down."
Yeah, shut it down and transfer it to my ship.
Yeah.
Right, that's what got me into the Hux point.
Yeah, and then Finn goes on to out to like messages Poe or whatever he fucking does, and he's like, "Hey, mate, they've moved it to the ship, so I'm gonna go get it." And then they have this fucking stupid scene.
Is absolutely worst fucking scene.
Where all of the people that were hanging out with Finn's new sidekick, who are all ex-stormtroopers, ride on this fucking...
They ride horses across a Death Star.
Across
a Star
Destroyer.
Destroyer. Yeah.
They're on these fucking alien horses, just riding. And I think there's a line like, "Oh, they're not using TIE fighters."
The guy says, "Scramble their speeders."
Oh.
The Admiral. This is the elite Admiral, the new head guy, whatever. I think it was like Admiral Peed or something like that.
That's a funny name.
Or it's not Admiral Piet, but it's something similar. He says, "Scramble their speeders," which is apparently something else they could do. Don't know why they didn't just fucking do that on Hoth, but never mind.
No.
Then the guy, the pilot on the ship, says something along the lines of, they're not using speeders. Door to the transport pod opens, they rush out on horses.
It looks so fucking stupid.
This is where I had to suspend the most disbelief in this movie, that they've got a bunch of technicians and pilots and people on horses fighting Sith troopers. These weren't stormtroopers, bear in mind, these were the people, the ones in the red armor.
Yeah.
So you'd assume they'd be some sort of elite, highly trained squad, and they were just annihilating. Like these Sith troopers or stormtroopers, whatever they were getting destroyed by, again, rebel technicians, fighter pilots on horseback.
Yeah. It was fucking terrible. And then they managed to get to the thing. Finn's new sidekick has got some bombs, and she ends up...
BB-8 opens a hatch.
Yeah, they put these bombs down a hatch, and then they explode the thing. And then the man inside the ship is like, "It's fine, we can redirect it." And then Finn's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna have to destroy the whole ship." And Rose is like, "Come on, Finn, we gotta get off the ship." And he's like, "Nah, I'm staying on the ship."
Bear in mind, they're on the external side of the Star Destroyer at this stage still.
Yeah.
No, they don't go in the Star Destroyer at any point, they just stand on the wing.
They just stand on the wing. And then Rose is like, "Oh, okay," and looks sad for a second, then leaves.
Yeah.
And like this is like the extent of Rose's thing. Like she doesn't even go like, "I love you" or anything like that. Nah, she's just fucking gone.
She's like fucking gone. Yeah, bye.
Bye, bitch.
Write me out the movie, will ya?
And then like he ends up with his new sidekick. His sidekick's like, "I'm not leaving you," so she's more devoted to him than Rose is.
So weird. It's such a weird dissonance.
She's like, "I'm not gonna leave you," so they end up turning around a gun, and then
they hack a turbo laser, aim it at the bridge, and fire it without them being able to stop it.
Yeah.
The Admiral doesn't say cut power to the turbo lasers, point that turbo laser the other way, put up shields. That would have fucking helped. Nothing. They blow the bridge away, the ship blows up.
Yeah, so we've sort of skipped past like half of the rest of the battle, what's going on,
but
that's fine. So we'll go on to Poe, I guess. In fact, no, we have to go to the Palpatine thing because we have to talk about his fucking force
Poe's flying around and everything looks hopeless because these ships are still annihilating the whole of the rebel fleet.
And he's really sad because, you know, he actually says like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And then Lando's like, "Oh, I brought friends."
Don't go on to that yet. Don't go on to that yet.
Okay.
That's the end. But Poe's all dejected and sad, and he's like, "I thought we had a shot."
Yeah.
Because nothing seems to be working. Down in the planet's surface is the Sith Temple, which is where Palpatine lives, which is where Kylo Ren went at the start of the movie, which is where his Sith labs are, and the clones of Snoke are, and whatever else. So Rey lands her X-Wing, goes in. She sees the Sith throne, which is, as far as I know, not anything ever established in canon previously.
She does see it.
The closest thing is like fucking Vitiate's throne from obviously the Old Republic or something like that. But anyway, she goes to this planet and sees the big throne, and then it's like a big I think the best way to describe it's like a Roman Colosseum.
Yeah, it is like a Colosseum, and they're all like, it's almost like, you know how when this is in the film I've seen where the lady's like thunderous applause and there's all those people that like around. It's almost
the
like
Senate
that.
building, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like there's all the people that are watching.
Like a massive old school, and it's all dark, I should point out.
It's so
dark. It's all underground.
The thing is, everything is fucking bland.
It's all pitch black darkness besides occasional like lightning bolts and crackles and bad weather and whatever else.
Yeah.
You see all these faceless cultists in black robes. They start cheering when Rey turns up, and then camera pans around and it's Palpatine on his big GLaDOS arm. And he's like, I was wondering when you would get here, and then...
So it's sort of telegraphed earlier, what we were about to say, by Dio, that little shitty robot that has no reason to be there besides toys. And he says some stuff to Poe, because Poe randomly... Sorry, not Poe. Finn randomly asks him, so what's your name? And then gets some exposition off-screen from this robot that actually tells him that the reason why... that man took Rey's parents is because Palpatine wanted Rey alive.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So that's his reason for existing, this little shitty robot, which literally did not need to be there.
Right.
Again, it was only there to be toys. But yeah, so Palpatine basically says, "Hi, I'm your granddad, and you're going to become the new Empress. I wanted you alive the whole time. I don't know why he told fucking Kylo to kill her at all. I don't understand it.
I think it's so that she could kill Kylo. I think he wanted Kylo out of the way, but yeah, it doesn't make much sense that...
What if Kylo had killed her?
Right. I guess, but to be fair, it's so... Okay, Legends.
Oh, Jesus.
There's the rule of two implemented by Darth Bane, which is there can only ever be two Sith, a master and an apprentice, and the only way the apprentice can become the Lord of the Sith is if he kills his master. That way the Sith are always going to get stronger.
Yeah,
So-
I did actually... I knew about this.
So... I guess you could say that it ties into that
Yeah, and that she kills...
if she kills Kylo, she's the strong one. If Kylo kills her, she wasn't worthy to be the Empress anyway.
Yeah.
Because Kylo's a little shitty bitch boy.
And then, like, he tries to get her to kill him, like, as in, Palpatine tries to get Rey to kill him from anger.
He even says to her, he's not even like, strike me down. He
He
literally
keeps
says
just
to
saying
her,
it over and over again.
kill me and my dark spirit, which, and he very much emphasizes this, which is very odd. He very much emphasizes that he is all the Sith.
Yes.
And then, I don't know if that's some Sith alchemy, maybe something established in the novels or some shit, but he is apparently now all the Sith.
Yeah, but
he's
then,
still
like,
very much Palpatine.
She's all the Jedi, apparently, as well, now.
Right, that's something
like,
we'll get onto in a second as well, because that's coming up in a
it's
minute.
fucking weird.
So he's like, kill me, so my dark spirit can take over you, you can be my vessel, and then I'll be the Emperor, but kind of reborn. Again, it seems weird to me that a man who can make clones, as shoddy as they are, a man who apparently survived the Death Star exploding, is needing to transfer his spirit like this?
I don't know why he wants...
Can't he just kill himself and take... She has to, I guess, in anger, strike him down. What if she just kills him out of the, the goodness of the galaxy or some shit?
Why didn't he just, like, let Kylo kill him at the start? Because Kylo was going to kill him out.
It doesn't make much sense.
And then, I'm sure Kylo could have made her angry enough to have her kill him.
So he's apparently wants her to kill him so that he can possess her and become the Emperor. Again, like, reborn, because he's not strong enough, I guess, to run the Empire right now. Again, like I said, despite the fact that he can make fucking clones or has all this technology, can build super planet-killing weapons, he apparently can't get a fucking wheelchair that works. But let's not worry about that.
And
not relevant.
He tries to make her angry by talking shit about her parents, and
Yeah, she's like, your parents were weak, but...
And she's like, no, they weren't. They protected me. And it was, like, sort of redundant and boring.
Yeah, so that's kind of established why she was hidden on Jakku. It was her parents that left her there. They sold her, apparently, so that she would be safe, so that the Emperor would never find her. She's just some unassuming scavenger on her back, which does kind of make some sense.
Yeah, and then, like, he kills her parents.
Why is it established that the Emperor wants her when she's a child? So he can raise her to be his apprentice, maybe? So then he can possess her? It's never established why the Emperor doesn't...
How does he know that she's that powerful, though?
I think he has does he not say that, like, I've foreseen it, or something, he has a vision or some shite?
Maybe. I don't know, because, like, obviously his son wasn't good enough, like...
That's what I was about to say, why didn't he possess his son?
Yeah, like, if his son wasn't that powerful in the Force, why was Rey? Does it skip a generation?
Yeah, it's a recessive gene. The midichlorians are recessive.
Anyway, so she's like not having it, and then he opens up the roof, and then she sees that the battle's going really badly.
Very much Star Wars Return of the Jedi style, when Luke is in the Emperor's throne room, and the Emperor says, let me show you the might of this fully operational battle station. Fire the laser, blows at the Mon Calamari cruiser, and then that's when Akbar says, it's a crap thing. It seems to be hopeless. Very, very much the same as that to try and force Luke to the dark side. He does the same thing to Rey by opening his sunroof and shows her the... above the planet, all her friends and whatever are dying. So he's like, I'm the only family you've got left now.
Yeah, and your new family are all gonna die because of you.
Enter
Kylo Ren!
Kylo Ren somehow gets a TIE fighter, lands on the planet,
Mate, I actually really liked Kylo in these scenes. I really enjoyed.
This is the best his character's been.
Yeah, he like comes down,
storms into the temple. The lift
he jumps.
The lift is apparently one way. It's like a Dark Souls lift where you can't pull it from the other side.
And he jumps onto the chain and just goes, "Ow!"
He jumps down, hits his butt, goes out, gets to the bottom, and then the fucking teleporting Knights of Ren are there to have a showdown.
And he like sort of shrugs at him, and I actually laughed at that as well.
So he has a fight with him. Now this is another one of the big canon-breaking moments for me.
Yeah.
Rey pulls out her lightsaber. Just as she's about to swing at Palpatine, she senses Kylo Ren
Which
is
one
there.
does she give to Kylo out of interest? Is it Leia's or Luke's?
I think she gives
I thought it was Luke's, but I wasn't sure.
So she is about to swing at Palpatine, senses Kylo's there. They kind of have this weird smile.
Yeah, they like look at each other.
She smiles, Kylo smiles. She puts a hand behind her back with the lightsaber in it, and Kylo does the same, and then the lightsaber appears in his hand. She gives him a lightsaber through the Force, because he was getting bodied by the Knights of Ren up to that stage.
Yeah.
Then when he gets a lightsaber, he fucking destroys them all.
He just fucking wrecks him.
So that's my big issue with the Force Ghost established in Star Wars canon, the Force Ghost established in The Last Jedi, and now the Force Ghost established now, is that the rules are constantly changing.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker fights Kylo Ren, gets shot at, but survives. Luke Skywalker gives Leia a dice, disappears. Rey gives Kylo a lightsaber through the Force, and he keeps it and uses it to kill loads of other people. It's like constantly changing the rules of your established canon.
Yeah, this is why it bothered me with the beads disappearing in the start of the film.
Right.
And like the fucking Darth Vader helmet that wasn't there but was. Like, what?
One thing I've got to say, before they do this big attack on the Sith fleet, let's call it the Sith fleet to try and keep some differences here. So Pippin's actor, I don't remember his name, Dominic whatever, says, can't we use the Holdo maneuver? Again, another allegory to this entire film being a Last Jedi apology. One of the other pilots, I believe it's Matt Parker's character, says that's a 1 in a million thing. Because, of course, everybody knows that the biggest complaint about The Last Jedi was that scene with the Holdo maneuver. And the Holdo maneuver, bearing in mind, for those of you who don't remember the character's name, understandable, is the one where the pink-haired lady admiral smashes the rebellion ship into the supremacy.
People that didn't like that scene were fucking soulless. That was the only good bit of that
I did not like that. I thought it was a cinematic masterpiece, but it broke the canon because it meant all the runs on the Death Star. I'm going to get a little bit annoyed here. All the runs on the Death Star were pointless. What's the point of having a proton? You could just literally strap some engines onto an asteroid, fire it at the Death Star, rip it in half. Why they didn't do that, I don't know. There's a lot of fan arguments. There's a lot of fan theories. Blah, 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 blah. In the expanded universe, it's established that that's not a possible thing to do because of all the gravity wells and hyperplanes, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
anyway.
Fair enough. But I enjoyed that scene as a non-fan.
I liked this in this movie where they specifically say that was a 1 in a million shot. That's good because it means that she maybe got lucky or some shit. I don't.
Like, why would you even bother with the 1 in a million chance at that point? Whatever. Whatever. We'll move on.
Anyway.
So, like, they talk about the Holdo maneuver. You liked it because it was a reference.
Because it was kind of again patching over the cracks in The Last Jedi. So Kylo Ren joins Rey in the throne room. They both stare down Palpatine with their blue lightsabers in hand, and it's all this moment of, like, once again the Jedi are fighting one Skywalker, one Palpatine versus the big evil, which of course is Palpatine still.
And then he just immediately just fucking bodies him.
Yeah. He's like, oh, if you will not do as I want, you will die. And then he fucking flings him in the air and then makes him, like, kneel before him, which I thought was quite a nice little symbolism. And then
he sucks their soul out.
He sucks out the Force bond.
Yeah, he says that their Force bond is so strong that it can
restore life.
The two can bring back one.
Right. And he starts turning from a withered husk of a man back into, I'm not going to say a healthy boy, but Palpatine as he looked in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
His sort of blind, milky white eyes turn into the typical Sith yellow eyes.
Yeah, they were very
his
yellow.
Fingers, they make a big point about his fingers growing back.
It's really, like, they've put a lot of emphasis on his fingers.
And then when he's got all his power back, he sucks a bit more life from them, gets his power back. They're all weak on the floor.
And Kylo tries to get up.
Kylo gets up, and then he's like, the last Skywalker will fall as I fell.
And he fucking chucks him in a ravine.
Yeets him into the ravine, just like Vader obviously yeeted Palpatine into a ravine.
Yeah.
And then Rey comes back around. Now, this is something I actually thought was cool, and another one of these sort of hand waves, head nods to the expanded universe. Palpatine uses a Force Storm, which is like this incredibly powerful form of Force lightning that only Palpatine, as I recall, has been established as being able to do. So in the Legends, he actually does it in a comic. He uses the Force Storm to rip apart, I believe it was an Imperial Wall or a Star Destroyer, I don't remember. Or is it the Kuat Yards? It doesn't matter. He uses this Force Storm on the Rebel fleet, which is above the planet. Now, is that before or after the reinforcements turn up?
After the reinforcements turn
up. So just before that happens, Lando and Chewie turn up, and they've brought with them just about every clitting ship in the galaxy.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be like the turnabout in the battle where like shortly after Kylo and Rey are like, yeah, we're gonna stop you. Like you have the turnaround where all the ships have turned up.
Yeah, they're stood united,
and everything's going great.
Metaphorically stands united,
and then Palpatine fucks over Rey and Kylo, and then does the Force Storm. So all of the people who. Like, somehow he can miss his own ships. He can control this enough to not affect his own ships, but it's fucking up all the rebel ships. He knows the difference because he's
in Legends.
Palpatine.
It's in the comic. It looks more like a big sort of black hole filled with lightning.
Yeah.
But in this, it was just like a big force lightning.
Yeah.
That specifically
it was like a tree of
only
lightning.
hits the rebel ships. I thought the sound design on it was really cool. It was
Yeah,
like this really overwhelming clap of like thunder, essentially.
And it was like it didn't really do much, to be honest. It just made the ship stop moving.
Yeah, it knocked out all the ships. It's like a big EMP.
Yeah, and you would have thought maybe that being force lightning might have hurt the people or something.
Yeah, all it did was blitz turn the ships off.
Turn them off, yeah. And like the thing is, you could see like the lightning inside the ships and things like that, so it should really have like affected the people, but whatever. So he does that, and then Rey's laid on her back, and she's looking in the sky, and she's like, "Oh God, what did she say? What's the words?"
I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me. No,
all I can think of is that fucking line.
It's not that, but it's very, very similar to Donnie Yen's Force is with me. It's like
she started off the film saying it. Like that was her first line. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's when she was training with Leia. She says this line, and then she's like, "Oh, I can't do it." And now she says the same line again, and she hears the voice of all the Jedi that have come previously. Now there were some really cool lines in that. So there was, I believe it was Hayden Christensen who played young Anakin Skywalker, obviously in episode 2 and 3.
Yeah, you hear him.
He said, defeat Palpatine like I did. You hear Mace Windu, you hear Yoda, you hear Luke, you hear Qui-Gon Jinn.
You hear Obi-Wan.
I assume they got Liam Neeson to do the voices for that. It did sound like Liam Neeson, which is obviously how you're able to tell, given it's just a voice. It's basically just stars, and it's all the old Jedi voices coming through.
Yeah.
From all, I think there was a Ahsoka Tano in there as well, but I might be wrong on that. It did sound very similar. And it was a female voice, and I can't think of any other fucking female Jedi off the top of my head. Who are alive, anyway. And she then, like... I don't think it really gives her any power, but it kind of, like, focuses her, basically.
Well, what the idea is that she's...
not alone.
She's not alone.
The whole point of her character arc is she was left alone, and then her family is someone she doesn't want, and she thinks she's going to be alone again, because all her friends are dying in the air, being shot down by lightning.
And then, like, she gets up, and she's about to fight Palpatine, and he stops doing his force, like, lightning tree.
Because she stands up. And then all the ships
go back to normal, so there literally was no point, besides to have a turning point in the battle that lasted about 10 seconds. And she blocks his force lightning that he shoots at her. With the lightsaber, because apparently now she can not resist the force chokes.
Oh my God, this annoys me so much. This scene.
Why does he keep doing force lightning? It doesn't work.
Palpatine's demise again is down to his own fucking force lightning. She picks up the one lightsaber, which she obviously kept when he knocked her down. She picks up the other lightsaber that she gave
She starts off with one, and then she picks up the other.
Right, that she gave to Kylo Ren. Palpatine, all the other ships have come back online and have started attacking the otherwise dead in the air sort of Sith fleet at this stage.
Yeah, and this moment you see that Finn's thing worked, and Poe's like, hell yeah, we can destroy all the ships.
Hell yeah, we can win. She picks up the other lightsaber, and he's firing his lightning, and exactly the same as the scene where Mace Windu has him on the floor in the office in Coruscant. This is happening again, but it's Rey this time with two lightsabers. She blasts the lightning back at him, it hits him in the face, and it rips his skin off, and he dies. That's it. He dies once again at the hands of his own force lightning. It happened in he didn't die in episode 3, but he became scarred and deformed from the first lightning, even though that's, hypothetical. He gets hit by his force lightning that one. He gets hit by his own force lightning again in, obviously, Return of the Jedi, when Darth Vader picks him up and fucking yeets him down the hole. His lightning's going into him and, obviously, Vader. And then once a fucking again, he's deflected back at him. And Yoda deflects his Force lightning back at him as well, now that I think about it.
Every fucker can deflect
My
his
God,
Force lightning.
he just needs to fucking pack it in. I know it's his signature move and he wants to sell anime figures and whatever else in his pose, but fuck me. Pack it in with the Force. He instantly, that's my biggest fucking plan, he instantly incapacitates them with just regular Force powers.
Yeah.
Knocks them to the floor, that's it, they're done. Force lightning, second he cracks that shit out, he loses. It's so infuriating that, like,
He could have just Force choked her to death.
right.
And then if she would have been gone.
Bear in mind at this stage, he's like, oh, you know, I'm back. The galaxy will get its own emperor back or something like that. He says that he's not interested in taking her body anymore. Winky face. And then goes to kill her. Uses the Force lightning. He dies. He literally just melts away, and that's the end of him.
Yeah, and it's shit. And she's like, there's this whole line where he says that he's all of the Sith, and she goes, I am all of the Jedi. And, like, that's the whole through line of it, I think, is that she's now
The legacy.
one with them.
One with the Force.
Because she said at the start of the film that she couldn't do it, and now she can. So she's now definitely a Jedi and definitely not a Sith.
And
then she, like, dies.
in the very traditional sense of, you know, Star Wars, it's bring balance to everything. In the same way, all of the Emperor's lightning bolt antics have resulted in the other person dying. Just Mace Windu died, Vader died. She dies as well.
Yeah. And then Kylo.
Well, savior.
Kylo crawls out of the ravine.
Kylo Deus Ex Machina Ren climbs out of the ravine
God.
that the Emperor yeeted him down. Somehow.
I'm so upset about this next
Some
bit.
fucking how.
I'm so upset about
Climbs
this
out
next
of the
bit.
well, Batman style.
Picks her up, and he's like broken his leg or some shit, and he's like limping towards her, and he's like rolling her onto him, and he's like holding her in his arms, and he's like, oh no. So he like starts to bring her back with the Force healing.
So he uses the Force heal she used on him to save his life. He uses it, but of course it's a life for a life.
Yeah,
So
and
he dies in her. No.
no,
Not yet.
not yet. There's the fucking.
I wish he'd fucking died.
God.
There. He then looks her in her eyes,
And she's like, Ben.
and then they have a deep kiss.
They have a deep kiss, and I was so angry.
Fucking hated it because these two have been trying to kill each other for the past 3 movies.
There was no need.
Now all of a sudden they are big lovers.
There was no need.
They kiss. He dies, becomes one with the Force, like his body disappears, Obi-Wan style.
And it's proved that he's a Jedi because he healed her, so he's like actually a Jedi now.
It's established that only Jedi can become one with the Force.
Yeah.
So Qui-Gon does it, obviously Yoda does it. Luke, it's very similar. It's basically the same as when Luke becomes a Jedi in the Last Jedi. His clothes, he just fades away and his clothes fall to the rock.
Yeah.
Exactly what happens with Kylo. Then at the same time, Leia's body, which has just been led on this slab, I guess.
For the last week, I just live in there. But that also fades away. Sorry if you can hear the fucking motorbike that some dickhead's riding outside.
So that's it.
Yeah, and she's alive and Kylo is dead. And like, I guess that, you know, at least she didn't have a chance to get attached.
Oh, one thing I should also point out as well is very conveniently, when the Emperor's lightning is deflected back at him, he blows up, and it also conveniently kills every other Sith.
Yep, everybody else is
on
dead.
the planet. You see them all like disintegrate Thanos style.
But Rey's still alive, and she gets out with Luke's ship.
She gets back in the X-wing, flies off, and then they all have an Endor style party on whatever planet they came from.
You find out that this is during the triumphant bit of the Sky Battle that like Poe's weird love interest lady that nobody cares about is still alive, and I was like, oh no, because did we even say that her planet was destroyed?
Yeah, that's how we know that. Sorry, yeah, we missed that, but that's how you know that the Star Destroyers have a planet buster weapon.
Yeah.
They blast the planet.
Yeah, they blast the planet that she lived on, and I felt no fucking feelings because I knew she wasn't dead. I knew she wasn't dead, and I didn't care. Especially because they didn't fucking kill Chewie. Oh no, the lady we don't care about might be dead, and then she's not dead. And then, like, they have the weird dance party at the end. And,
as with every Star Wars movie when they win.
And, like, Rose has the weird not really interaction with Finn where they just look at each other and she's having a nice time, and like they have the first gay kiss
in
a Star Wars
which
film.
Has made headlines.
It's made headlines for being amazing.
It was a real fucking hand wave. It was literally 2 characters in the background. It was a complete nothing.
It really was. Like, this is something that, funnily enough, I talked about before the film. I didn't know this was coming. Where I said to Sam that like films don't have men kiss ever. They have women kiss because they don't want to have a man kiss a man.
Yeah, because two women.
Because 2 women is safer. And oh god, I was furious. Like, because it was just silly. I don't know why.
It was very much look at us being socially conscious.
We're not 2 too scared of China to have a lady kiss a lady.
Oh, wow.
And
that was that.
yeah, so, no, they reunite with Rey. You know, Poe and Rey and Finn have a big hug, and it's like, why?
Oh yeah, and Billy D. Williams is there, and Chewbacca's there, and everyone's very happy.
And then, like, the sidekick has a talk with Lando, and he's like, yeah, let's find out where your planet is from. And it's like,
I don't know if that's implying that they're trying to set her up. I fucking hope not.
I fucking hope
she's
not.
A no one.
Because she's not, nobody cares. And then, like, Rey goes back to her home planet.
She does not. This is what I was not going to say anything.
Is this Luke's planet?
She goes, for some reason, to Tatooine. I don't know why. She not only does she go to Tatooine, which is very annoying, she also very much goes to Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen's moisture farm. She specifically goes to, obviously they're trying to bring the whole thing full circle, where the movie started with Luke looking at the twin sons on Tatooine.
She looks at the twin sons.
It ends with her looking at the twin sons of Tatooine. She goes to Tatooine, she buries Luke's and Leia's lightsaber in the sand. She has her own lightsaber.
Yeah, she got a green one now, isn't she?
Yellow.
Yellow, is it?
It was a yellow lightsaber with like a weird clicky wheel on it to turn it on.
Which seems dumb.
It looked like it was a double-ended lightsaber as well, but she only activated one end. And then some fucking old bitch, old nosy woman.
Oh god, this was so bad.
She's like, and this is the worst line of the movie. This is when my fucking, like anything goodwill that they built up was destroyed. The old woman, she's like, who are you? And she goes, oh, I'm Rey. And then the old woman goes, Rey who? And then Rey looks in the distance, and there's Luke and Leia's Force ghosts, and she looks back at the old woman, and she goes, Rey Skywalker. And then the movie ends.
Like, literally, that could have been a Monty Python sketch, like, with the old fucking crone. Like, it really could have. It was terrible. It was so bad.
I wish she'd have just said, like, what they could have done is they could have used it as an allegory that bloodlines and family should not matter.
Yeah, she could have just said she was a Palpatine.
Kylo Ren being related to Darth Vader, the whole thing he based his life on, didn't matter. Rey being a Palpatine obviously did not matter.
No, she ended up being a Jedi.
And then she ended up being a Skywalker, and it's like, we've just spent the whole film establishing that who you are related to does not matter.
Yeah.
And they make this whole thing about,
your
your
Kylo
family...
redemption. Like, he could have been the Rise.
Oh my god, it's so frustrating. And then she becomes a Skywalker. She takes on the Skywalker moniker for reasons unbeknownst to anybody, thus undoing any allegory or metaphor the film had built up about family being, the ones you make along the way, haha. And that's it. That is then the end of the film. And I let out a heavy sigh, and then we walked home.
It was fucking just abhorrent.
Like I said, second half was better than the first half. The first half was absolutely just a treasure hunt. It was, we're going to planet A, we're on the desert planet, we found a knife. We go to planet B to decode the knife. We go to planet C to find the treasure that we decoded from the knife. We go to planet D. The fact that they already did this, of course, in the first movie with the hunt for Luke Skywalker, but just makes it even worse. There was about 6 completely inconsequential fights with Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Between her and Kylo Ren. There was a load of self-canon breaking. I liked some of the hand nods to the extended universe. However, I'm a unique case in that I like Star Wars. I've read a lot of stuff Star Wars, everything Star Wars, but I read a lot of fucking stuff Star Wars. I've watched everything Star Wars besides Rebels.
Yeah, I honestly, after going over it, like, all the way, and I'm sure we've missed some shit, like, after going through it, I do not want to see that film again.
It was better than The Last Jedi.
Well, I don't want to see that one either.
What?
I don't want to see that one
Oh, right, I
either.
thought you said I hadn't seen it. I was going to say, yeah, we definitely watched that one. It was better than The Last Jedi because the villain had weight, as badly added as it's an established character. It's Palpatine. They've spent basically 6 movies building up this big villain, and obviously apparently fucking 3 more now. The villain was somebody, and it was the Sith, and it was the dark side. It wasn't just Kylo Ren's knockoff Empire versus shitty Rebels again, which I'm so glad it was not. It still was not, like I said, 6 out of 10 for a regular film. Fair enough, passable. For a Star Wars film that has all the money in the world thrown at it, with J.J. Abrams, who is obviously a pedigree director at this stage,
I do not think it was worth a 6 at all.
I give it a 6 only because, like I said,
even with the nods,
there's a lot of sort of allegory and relations to the expanded universe that's otherwise been sort of kicked out. If they'd have added Grand Admiral Thrawn instead of Admiral fucking Pede or Pete or Stephen or whatever his name was, that would have been awesome. If they'd have done many things different. I'm not going to
This is the thing, though, Sam. Like, you're putting a lot of weight on what could have been, on what was implied. But, like, the film itself, like, think about how much we've fucking complained about.
Yeah, no, that's my point. I'm saying it could be so good.
Well, yeah, that doesn't mean it's worth a 6. Yeah.
Well, a 6 is like a 5 is average. A 6 is above average.
I don't think it was above
just
average.
because of the budget and the physical. If this had been like, let's say, not Star Wars, and it had come out as it is, not related to the Star Wars property, I think a 6 out of 10 is more than fair, given the visual spectacle that.
Well, that's the problem, because it is a Star Wars film. And they have so much money thrown at it that there is a baseline of quality that I don't think, like, for instance, I brought up to you, coming out of the film, that the CG on some of the lips of the aliens was fucking terrible. Like, some of the CG was amazing, but, like, there was no excuse for that first fucking scene with that alien that's talking to him from the top ship, and his mouth doesn't sync up with the audio. It just looks really bad, and there's no excuse for that in a film with this much money. The fucking Force rocks that are flying around Rey when she's talking to herself at the start of the film don't look good.
Oh my god, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I actually forgot about that. So in Star Wars Legends, there is a test for the Jedi, whereby if they can float, I forget the actual name of them, but they are 7 rocks simultaneously, then they are like, the god of Jedi. Master Yoda only floated like 4 of these rocks. Mm-hmm. Rey at the start of the movie is like Jupiter. She is the rock queen. She has so many moons orbiting her simultaneously. She's like just this ungodly character, and it's like this established Star Wars test of like your Force attunement has just been thrown out the window.
It makes no sense that she'd be so attuned to the Force when she's so conflicted.
Right, that's a fair point.
Because the whole film is about her being conflicted. It starts off saying that she can't do the test because she's too conflicted, but then apparently she can do this fucking Force rock thing. It makes it difficult, especially, like, you are very into the lore. This is another thing. Like, I cannot, in good faith, rate it any higher. The only reason it's rated at a 4, because it should have really been rated lower, because I didn't enjoy it. Like, the only things I really enjoyed, I enjoyed some of Kylo and one of Poe's jokes, and, like, not much else. None of the characters, none of the story beats. Like, the choreography wasn't even that good. The music was great, but that's always great. And even then, it's timed really weirdly with the fight scenes. The settings were pretty bland.
The settings were very bland in this movie. That's the one thing The Last Jedi definitely had a lot going for it. There's obviously the fight at the end of the movie on that planet that's name I can't remember because
with
I don't
the
give
cool
a fuck.
Red.
Right, they're like, oh, it's snow. And then he eats it and he's like, oh, it's salt, to obviously try and set it apart from Hoth.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was visually interesting. And then obviously the Holdo maneuver in The Last Jedi was incredibly nicely done.
It looked beautiful.
Canto Bite or Canto Blight, for all of its issues, the casino planet.
Yep, it looked interesting.
It was a nice
aliens.
change of pace. It felt very, very casino, but of course very alien. But it had that Star Wars sort of underground theme going
I genuinely don't know why, and I understand that they don't want to revisit it because people didn't like it, but why they didn't go back at least to that for a second to be like, hey, those kids were like behind the resistance at that moment when they fucking saved the horses or whatever they were.
I'm glad they didn't go back to it.
Like, it just seems like, I mean, obviously it was set up and not expanded on because people didn't like it, but they could have at least been like, oh, why don't you try going to this planet for help? Seeing as, like, they needed allies, and those, like, kids probably had parents somewhere.
I'm sure that I could think of more stuff to pull it up on.
It wasn't a great experience.
I would love to do an episode on what they could change to make it good.
Like a script doctor.
Yeah, but I would tie it more into some other stuff. So I don't know if you would be...
I mean, you'd probably just have to rewrite the whole 3 films, especially specifically the second and the third ones would just need entire rewrites.
It's like I said at the start, all you have to do is cut out all the shite in The Last Jedi, throw Palpatine into that one, that way you don't have to explain Palpatine's backstory with a fucking single line of text at the start of the movie, which felt like a slap in the face. I understand, don't get me wrong, I understand why they did it. I understand it's because you cannot... In the world where all of the entire plot was leaked months in advance, you cannot realistically have a surprise appearance from Ian McDiarmid in a Star Wars film without people finding out. That's Palpatine's actor. Without people finding out. I understand why they immediately off the bat reveal that, because, let's be reasonable, everybody knows anyway. However, the introduction to the character was exactly that. It was, Palpatine has declared... Why not show Palpatine... Oh, I'm back, by the way, you better bend your knee, you little bitch. Instead, his introduction is a line of text and then Kylo Ren meeting him in a cave.
Yep.
And it's almost as kind of insulting to the character. Right.
It...
I'm gonna. We could complain about this forever. I'm specifically bookending this now.
Yeah, this is like 2 hours. Yeah.
Character review. Let's just quickly tier characters.
Okay. Can you even remember the characters?
Vaguely. Top tier, best of the best character.
Kylo
Ren. Almost certainly.
Kylo was great in this
film. I
film.
have always said throughout all 3 of these films that Kylo Ren is the best character because he is conflicted. People are like, oh, he's an angsty Teemo brat. That's exactly the point.
That's the point of his character.
That's the point of his character. He's supposed to be
not
conflicted.
Sure.
He's supposed to be going for this rebellion. You know, he's been influenced by this pseudo father figure in the form of Snoke and goes against his own parents, etc., etc. But he is conflict personified, which is exactly what he should be, given that his uncle's Luke Skywalker, the biggest Jedi ever, and then his grandfather's Darth Vader, arguably one of the worst Jedi ever.
Yeah.
Right up to, obviously, his death, which apparently didn't fucking matter anyway. I was going to say it was redemption, but it wasn't a redemption because it didn't have any impact.
No.
Kylo Ren is, the light and the dark personified.
He is the protagonist, in my opinion.
I would agree. I
like him a lot more than Rey.
Rey was obviously the protagonist, and Kylo Ren was the duratagonist.
Yes, but like the point was that like she's supposed to be the main character, but she didn't feel like a main character.
She didn't. She's still very faceless. She doesn't
have a personality.
They've intentionally given her no backstory. As I'm not going to say it was planned because I feel like the whole relating her to Palpatine was absolutely a fucking afterthought.
Oh yeah.
And again, actually, this is something I talked about when we were walking home. That I feel like... we'll talk about Rey now. So, Kylo Ren, best boy. We don't need to talk about him too much.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Rey,
no, not 10 out of 10.
I feel like everybody criticised her for being a Mary Sue. And to make up for that, more of this smoothing over the cracks in the previous films, to make up for that, they specifically made her related to Palpatine. I think that's something they did very intentionally to resolve that conflict amongst the fans. Everybody complained that she's so powerful with the Force and a good pilot and everything, like I said earlier. They specifically made her related to Palpatine to assuage that point.
Yeah.
Because apparently, who you're related to is all that matters in the Star Wars universe now.
It's so fucking strange. Like... A lot of my issue with Rey's character, like, because people really liked her in the first film, and I wasn't super into her. I thought she fell into a lot of, like, strong female really protagonist tropes.
She's not a likable character. She's
not a character.
She doesn't show emotion or personality.
No.
She doesn't have interests or hobbies or anything that defines it. She doesn't have a fault. One of the big sort of very basic guidelines for writing a character is give them something they're good at and something that is a fault with their character, so that way they have adversity.
Yeah. Like the biggest fault that she showed in the first film, as far as I could see, was that she didn't want to ask for help ever. That was like her.
Yeah, but then you can also spin that into a good thing. She's independent.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's like a job interview like thing. That's your weakness, isn't it?
Put it on your CV while she's independent.
Yeah, and then in the second film, like it's supposed to be like she's sort of almost a grey Jedi because she's like dabbling with the dark side a little bit, and that's really all that's like. She annoys Luke.
She's a very neutral, boring character.
Yeah,
she annoys the other characters, which in turn will carry over to the audience.
Yeah, it annoys the audience.
Particularly her annoying Luke Skywalker is a very brave move to make, given that the audience, while a lot of people grew up with Luke Skywalker,
they like Luke
as the Jedi. He is a personification of what the Jedi should be, just in terms of filmmaking here. He is very much that representation of that archetype.
Yeah. And
then people obviously want to, again, talking for a very specific audience perspective here, people want to be a Jedi, and they in turn want to be Luke Skywalker. You know, how many kids probably dressed up as fucking Luke Skywalker for Halloween when Star Wars first came out?
Yeah.
By annoying the character, you are, by extent, annoying the audience, and I think a lot of people were quite pissed off at that. Same reason why people were pissed off what they did to Luke's character and diminished him into this old fucking titty milk drinking hermit.
See, I kind of liked the titty milk version of Luke.
I thought it was an interesting perspective to take.
Yeah, I think that it made Luke, who, in fairness, wasn't that flawed either. He was more relatable than fucking Rey is.
The very low-hanging fruit would have been to make him the Jedi Grandmaster of a new Jedi Order.
Yeah.
Because that's what they did in the EU. It wasn't it wasn't some big grand Jedi Order. It still felt very sort of, they were rebuilding the Order. It still felt like almost hermits in a way. But that would have been the shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm glad they went the route they did, but we're not talking about Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. So, like, Rey herself, I honestly didn't... The thing is, I don't dislike her, I just don't care about her. I think is...
That's the problem.
The way I feel. I don't... they tried to do the same thing they did with Kylo by making her conflicted, but the thing is that she doesn't have the personality that Kylo does. Like, when I saw Kylo smile for the first time in these fucking 3 films...
And when he says ouch and weird, like, even
yeah,
tiny
those
little
were,
bits
like
that.
so nice.
He has a personality.
I really enjoyed it.
He's very obviously portrayed as a character who doesn't really know what he's doing. He struggles with knowing his destiny or what he's planning, etc., and that's why he works so well as a character. Rey is just like fucking headstrong.
Yeah, and like she did at none of the moments of like comedy, like the things they try and make comedic with Rey. Like, she's not funny, and she doesn't have really many funny moments. And like her comic relief friends don't make her more likable.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. She has some like potentially the most endearing scenes she has, which should be absolutely speak truth of her character, are with droids. The little droid that she's like, oh, he's obviously been mistreated and tortured.
Oh god, that's the only moment of fucking humanity she shows in the whole bastard film.
As well in the other previous films.
She did have that moment where Luke tickles her fingers with some grass, but again, that's like not even.
So Rey out of 10.
Rey is like a 3 out of 10.
So Kylo's a 7.
I think Kylo's an 8. I like Kylo a lot. I actually really enjoy it.
He does have an 8-pack, don't forget.
Oh, it's true.
Kylo's an 8-pack out of 10.
Swolo.
Rey is a 4.
I think she's. I've gone 3, you've gone 4, you've gone 7, I've gone 8, and like the 2 characters there.
And there were no other new characters.
The new characters, we had Red Lady that likes Poe, and she's in the red suit.
Oh, her.
Yeah, exactly. You forgot her. That's how shit she is.
She's like the Wasp from Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah,
she actually did kind of remind me of her.
She does kind of remind me of her.
And
she turns up.
Nobody.
And nobody cares.
She's
about
in
her.
2 scenes. Who gives a fuck? She's a nobody character.
She's literally like a 5 because she's just average.
Wheel Droid is Disney selling toys out of 10.
0 out of 10.
Not a character.
I'm not doing
Poe
it.
and Finn this movie. I think Poe was Poe as he has been in all the other movies.
I liked Finn more in this film.
Oh yeah, Poe. Sorry, I meant Poe. Finn. Fuck me. This should tell you everything you need to know about these
characters are interchangeable. Like, one of them's literally a black man, and we
I'm
getting it mixed up
yeah.
with the fucking wisecracking white dude.
Finn, ex-Stormtrooper man, is the same as he has been in all the other movies. Overly cautious, clearly quite worried, quite paranoid, but brave when the time calls for it.
I don't know. I liked him more in this film because, unlike in the other films where he was shown as a sanctimonious coward, he's now like sort of like he's committed to the cause.
He's got a bit more valor, I suppose, might be the right way to...
he clearly cares about the resistance a lot more than he did in any of the other films. Like, he's fucking introduced in the second film, trying to escape and gets caught by Rose. Like, that's Finn in the second film, and then in this one,
I did forget that. Yeah,
right. And this one, he's like actually. He cares.
He seems to have taken up the mantle of responsibility a bit more.
Yeah, and he's stopped it. He's still got his sort of weird Rey obsession, but it's less bad. Like, I don't know why he had such a Rey obsession in the first place, because he was arguably, in my opinion, closer to Poe for all of the films.
Right, yeah. They escaped together from the Star Destroyer, didn't they?
Yeah, like, they hang out a lot more than fucking Finn and Rey do. But, like, Finn is better, but I don't think he's...
5 out of 10.
He's like 6 for me. He's okay.
Other one, Poe Dameron.
Poe is the same.
Poe is the same. I think they've tried to make him almost arguably more dislikable by giving him this shady backstory, you know. Like I said, I think they're trying to establish him as a Han Solo kind of anti-hero type.
Yeah, and he's like got this really weird catty thing with Rey.
Yeah, he's a lot more confrontational. I don't like a 4 out of 10.
I think he's just fine. Like 5 or a 4.
With Rey as a non-character.
I'm gonna put Finn down actually, because when I think about it, like, I just don't care. Rose is not a character anymore.
Rose, I'm not even gonna.
Finn's new sidekick, not a character.
I don't even know a name.
I don't know any of these new
Billy
characters'
D. Williams
names.
as Lando Calrissian, 10 out of 10.
He's just Lando.
Exactly. Out of this entire series, out of what they've ruined about Star Wars, the one thing they've kept the same is Lando, and I appreciate that. Overly optimistic to the point of fault, interested in doing the right thing, Lando.
He's fine.
Billy D. Williams.
He's fine.
Good. Leia, I suppose, again,
really boring.
Kind of a non-character, because there was very little that's kind of a fault of her dying.
I mean, they couldn't do much about it, but she was boring.
I liked getting a bit of backstory about her doing a lightsaber.
I liked
training.
that backstory.
That was cool.
I liked that backstory. I just didn't like the boring shot composition, the boring dialogue, the boring, like, everything.
That, I think, might have been another nod to Legends as well, because she is a Jedi in Legends. Actually, very similar to Legends as well. She has a son with Han called Jason. Jacen.
Wow.
Jacen, who also turns to the dark side, becomes Darth Caedius. Becomes a bit of a shit. It's very, very similar to that Kylo Ren thing.
Yeah.
I believe he gets redeemed as well. Don't remember, something to do with the Sun Crusher. It's been a long time since I read it. Yeah, I think they are trying to tie her together over in that regard. I think they just wanted to do something cool with her, again, as a sort of memorial, to make her into a CG Jedi.
Yeah.
Which she was.
I mean, like, what other characters were there? Like, Mark Hamill comes back for a second, and I didn't really like it.
Yeah, he comes back and he's, like, kind of wisecracking.
And I didn't like that.
Like, a Jedi's weapon is an invaluable or Jedi's tool is whatever. Lightsaber is a valuable tool, whatever. Don't throw it in the bin.
Don't throw it in the fucking fire.
Yeah, it's very much...
It's just not that
PTSD,
good.
Luke Skywalker comes back, and that's it.
Yeah, like...
And then obviously Palpatine, but he was just still
Palpatine was not good in this
evil
film.
For the sake of being evil.
I don't... Like, his plan didn't really make sense. He was boring to me. Like...
His plan didn't make sense.
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
So... Legends. I'm going to say it.
Oh, fucking hell.
The cool thing is about Palpatine in the Legends is it's believed that... So in Legends, it sort of all comes to a head with an an extragalactic invasion in the form of the Yuuzhan Vong, who are like these weird species 847 like bioweapon people who en masse invade the galaxy. They live on these massive ships in between galaxies and invade.
Yeah.
And they're like all creepy. Very similar to... I kind of say like the Dark Eldar, if that helps.
Yeah, it does help. It does help. I like Warhammer.
They're like these creepy, sort of like biomechanical engineered, but they're quite hedonistic. They're a bit weird. That's
interesting.
It's believed that there's a common fan theory that in the expanded universe, Palpatine took power and kind of unified the galaxy and built the Death Star and all these super weapons to prepare for the Yuuzhan Vong invasion, so that he could try and repel them and keep his galaxy safe. Which gave him another layer of sort of intrigue to him. But this time, he's evil to a fault. There's no victory plan. Literally, his plan is worship me or I will blow up your planet. That is it. That's why he equips his whole Star Destroyer fleet with planet killer weapons. He literally says that on a broadcast, you will join me or you will die.
Yeah, there's no end game besides controlling everything, and the First Order
and then
already
what's he
did
gonna
that.
do? He's a fucking crippled, dirty old man. What, you think he's gonna just drink lager on a Sunday afternoon or something? Like,
I guess he'll go to another galaxy.
Like,
I don't
what's
know.
his end game plan?
I don't get it, because clearly, like, fucking depopulation is gonna get the fucking galaxy before anything else, because, like, they keep stealing all the babies.
Stealing the babies, sending them to war and blowing up planets. I also don't understand why he offered to make Kylo Ren Emperor, whether he was just doing that to manipulate him into getting the pieces into the right place for him. I don't understand why he offered to make Rey Emperor when he could have... That's another thing. They were both stood there. Why didn't he just grab the Force from her? Why didn't he get them both in the same place and grab the Force from him and restore himself, rather than do the whole, I will possess you and become Empress Palpatine or some shit?
Yeah, he could have just done that. And it would have been fine.
Palpatine,
but then he wouldn't be able to get the Force bonds.
He was brought back for the sake of bringing back a villain
a fan
that
favourite.
People liked. Yeah, because Snoke was shite and was established as literally a faceless clone. Any other characters we need to talk about?
I don't think there's any character I fucking cared about in that film besides Kylo.
Good, done. That's that bit done. Next bit I've written down here. What does someone who not knows Star Wars want to ask? So was there anything that you, this is just something I'm purely interested in, is there anything you as a viewer found confusing or misleading or didn't understand the backstory of in this film?
I mean, there's a lot of, like, random planets and things like that I don't really know the context of, that you've sort of explained as we've gone through, and, you know, I can't really...
Could you go in as a perhaps someone who's not seen any of the other films or seen only a few of them like you have and sort of comprehend what's going on?
You should really have watched at least the sequels, like the most recent
Agreed.
3, to be able to understand anything that's going on. Because you don't know the characters, you're not going to get a fucking feel for any of them. You're not going to like any of them, except
Regardless
for
of whether you've watched it or not.
no. The only one you'd probably like is Kylo, and then even then you wouldn't understand why he's like the way he is. You're like, who the fuck's this man? So yeah, you have to have the last 3, and if you want to watch it, you also really sort of need to know who Palpatine is. So if you have no idea about the Star Wars universe, and you come in and you're just like, who is this man? Why is he important? Who the fuck is this? It's just, you need to have a lot of context to be able to understand this film.
Is there anything that you personally didn't get or pick up on or understand?
I mean...
Because I don't think there was anything that went over my head. There was another cool reference. They brought back, and this is probably going to be completely irrelevant to you, Wedge Antilles.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
So he was...
that just sounds like a name for a penis.
Wedge Antilles. He, I believe, was Red 3. He was one of Luke's co-pilots when they were attacking, in another X-Wing, when they were attacking the Death Star.
Yeah.
That's just who he was. And I'm almost certain that was the guy that they brought back. Obviously, he looks very different now to how he looked in a movie from 30 years ago, but I'm pretty sure they brought him back very briefly.
Okay.
When he did the big attack on the thing. But that was something I noticed that was quite cool.
Alright. I mean, there's nothing in my opinion that I personally would need explaining, but I think if somebody literally knew nothing about the Star Wars universe at all who went to this, they'd be like, what the fuck is going on?
I mean, like I said, there's so much stuff that if you're a big boy fan, you would probably enjoy or know context to, like the whole Sith alchemy thing, the Darth Plagueis thing, trying to dodge death, which they kind of allude to.
Yeah, they allude to the fact that, like, only Sith know how to clone and things like that.
Right, yeah. And why he's in the outer regions, because that's obviously difficult to navigate to, etc., etc. I think you would enjoy it more going in knowing what was in the universe, but simultaneously you'd also enjoy it less because you know what they're ruining.
Yeah.
I just think it's probably the best way to sum it up.
And if you're going in for a cool action film, to be honest, the action's not that good.
No, the action isn't good. You're right.
It's not a good action film. The sci-fi lore is sort of ruined for a lot of
will
people that
say
like
is
that.
There's very little in terms of theming difference given the time frame. What I mean by that is look at these ships, the spaceships, the factions, the enemies, the troop design between episodes 1, 2, 3, and then obviously 4, 5, 6, and then compare that to what they've got now.
So it's more marketable. They've got a lot of stuff they can sell.
Well, see, now that's my problem with it. In 1, 2, and 3, the troopers look different. There are multiple different factions with multiple different ships. There's obviously the big Lucra Hogs, which I don't know if you've seen those, but they're like donut-shaped ships, which the droids use. In this, though, it's still the same ships and the same troopers and the same guns as films 4, 5, and 6. It's still just stormtroopers. Their helmets are very slightly differently shaped. It's still Star Destroyers. The ships the Rebels use are still X-Wings, B-Wings, Y-Wings, and A-Wings.
Yeah.
It's all the same shit. I don't know why Disney especially didn't take the opportunity to give the Rebels new ships that they can then market as toys, give the Imperials new ships that they can market as toys, make some sort of droid army, give some sort of variation.
They're scared of upsetting the nerds.
Yeah, but it's shit, though.
Oh, yeah, I agree, it's shit.
Because
they're literally doing it so that it can appease the long-time fans, because they think if they're going to change things too much, it'll upset the people that fucking live in their mother's basements.
It's a big galaxy.
Yeah?
That's another thing that annoys me as well. It's a big galaxy, and we've gone to this planet and just happened to run across Lando. But
oh fucking
don't worry
hell,
about
yeah!
that
Like that's just life in it. Like, in fairness, at least they give the whole backstory to Lando being there because he was there with Luke. But why he was still there isn't explained.
I think he said Leia told me. I'm almost certain he went there because Leia told them what he was doing, and he was probably like, "Right, I remember that. Let me go." I don't know. Is there anything else?
Don't think so.
That we need to mention? So, overall...
Bad movie.
Average movie.
Bad movie.
Bad Star Wars movie. Average standalone movie.
Not really. It's too Star Wars of a movie.
Well, no, it's not Star Wars enough to be a good Star Wars movie.
Yeah, but it's got too much of the Star Wars in it, like the Palpatines and
I'm not
stuff
saying
like that.
watch it as a standalone. I'm just saying if they engineered a better story and it was a standalone movie... Like a story unrelated to the Star Wars universe, it by itself wouldn't be bad.
its plot is shit though.
Yeah,
the
the plot
dialogue is shit.
The dialogue is shit. But by other movie standards, bear in mind, name another big sci-fi movie that's come out in the past 10 years that's been good.
That's been good. I mean, I don't like sci-fi, so you're gonna have some troubles.
No, none of the Star Trek movies have been very good.
No, the Star Trek movies is shit.
The one with Benedict Cumberbatch as
Khan
Noonien Singh was not great.
I remember that film. He had that shower scene that everyone liked.
I've watched that movie and I don't remember that.
Yeah. There's like
I'm
there's
just
a
not
gif of
attracted
it.
to topless Benedict Cumberbatch.
I mean, I am, but
I can't think of any other good sci-fi movies that have come out. That's my point.
I mean, like this
sci-fi
has come out, but I don't remember any good ones. But we don't really watch. Like we watched that Alien film that was not an Alien film.
Oh, or yeah, like Prometheus.
Yeah, but we also watched that
Covenant.
other one that wanted to be an Alien film but wasn't, which had Ryan Reynolds in it, and he died, and like he was the first to die, and it was really bad.
What movie was that?
Do you not remember it? It was terrible.
I genuinely want to know what movie you're talking about because I don't remember.
I will find the
The
name.
one with the alien on the spaceship.
Yeah, it had an alien on a spaceship.
Oh, it was called like Life or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was a Venom prequel, which would have been awesome, but it wasn't.
Nope, it wasn't. It was not a symbiote.
The one at the end where the pods crash together, and they think.
And he goes into the sea.
Goes into the ocean. He's found by the fishermen, and they accidentally unleash the alien on Earth.
Yeah,
I remember.
It's got 54% of Metacritic.
I mean, other sci-fi. Alita Battle Angel doesn't count because it's basically an anime.
Yeah, people like who were anime fans saw liked it. I did.
Good anime.
I can think of a lot of good anime.
I can't think of any good sci-fi that's come out, and that's why I'm thinking as a sci-fi film, because the market is so garbage right now, it was okay.
Yes, that's the thing. I'm not starved of sci-fi. If I want to watch sci-fi films, I'll watch old shit like Star Trek because I like Star Trek.
In conclusion, if you want to watch good Star Wars, watch The Mandalorian, because that is Star Wars.
Sam really likes The Mandalorian.
I do, because it's got aliens that have already been established in the Star Wars universe, it's got new ships designs, it's got backstory, it's got nice little hand nods, it's got all sorts of good shit that is more Star Wars. That's the problem with these movies, for me, is that they don't feel Star Wars enough. You've got TIE fighters and Star Destroyers.
Yeah, that's about it.
And that's it. You got one Jedi.
But now you have a new droid that you can buy in a shop.
What do you think, just as an addendum here,
Yeah.
what do you think they're going to do with the franchise now?
I mean, they're still making the TV show.
I mean, The Mandalorian's good, so they probably will keep that going.
Yeah, because it's going good. I think they're going to have more spin-off films. Like
Do you
they
think
were
they will
going to do
make-
the Obi-Wan film, weren't they?
And it's an Obi-Wan TV show.
Oh, it's a TV show now, is it? Well,
Do you think they will make an episode 10?
If they do, I think they might decanonize the most recent ones. Or
I don't think they can,
the
realistically.
problem is that they've built a lot of their brand now, like the Disney brand. Like they've got a new Disneyland ride, which has got Rey and Kylo on
Right.
it, and like they've got the Star Wars world now at Disney in Florida. That you should go to because you fucking love it. And they have like the full Captain Phasma. Like they've really.
Oh, Captain Phasma, my favourite
They
character.
they have really doubled down on all of the Star Wars that they've created because it's theirs.
Yeah.
And if they make another film, they're going to have to actually have... Because they're
a coherent, overarching story that
trying
links the
to
three films
pander
together.
to fans too much.
Yeah, they are. The first movie was way too pandery. It was just a rehash of episode 4, big planet killer weapon, they fly and blow it up.
Yeah. They've tried to pander too much, and then when the first film came out with relative like positivity, they didn't know where to go with it. They should have had an actual story that they'd thought of, and not forced in elements that would not go down well. How they thought that a weird anti-corporate feminist save the animals strange like casino scene in the second film
right.
would go down well with a load of sweaty nerds. I just don't know how they thought that would go.
I think if they make another film, it won't be episode 10, but I think they will probably...
They'll make another
trilogy.
Yeah.
I think they'll make another trilogy unrelated. I think they'll try and do this, but better. So they'll probably do like... I mean, they might even try and tie it into this. They might do a time skip, perhaps.
Yeah.
Maybe the Jedi have come back.
Maybe they'll do something from the Sith's perspective. That'd be really interesting.
Maybe, yeah.
Or like have a grey Jedi, an actual grey Jedi, as their protagonist.
They might adapt, like I said, that intergalactic threat in the form of the Yuuzhan Vong or something like that. What they've got to do now is, what they actually could genuinely tie into in the Legends. There's a lot about the Imperial Warlords, like the various factions that tried to take back control when it was all splintered. They could very much fit that in now. Emperor's dead. They're all splintered. First Order is splintered.
Yeah, I was thinking there's going to be a huge power vacuum now in the galaxy.
They've got to now struggle to rebuild that. That could be... I don't know if that's interesting, though, because it's politics, and that's what the prequels was sort of criticised for.
Thing is, I really like politics when it's done well in films like that. I think it's really interesting. Like
Game of Thrones, yes. Star Wars, no.
That's the problem. Like, Star Wars is too fucking stupid.
That's what everyone hated about the prequels, though. I'd elect a vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorum. When I was 10 or whenever that fucking movie came out, I don't even remember, I was not interested. I had no clue about the politics scenes of the Galactic Senate. Why the fuck would I give a shit about that? I was there for the big Jedi fights and that was it.
Yeah. I mean, also they should probably learn from their mistakes and actually have good choreography. Because this film had bad choreography.
What they need to do is go in with a single director.
Yes, they do.
For the whole trilogy, with a plot written for the whole trilogy. They need to do what the Russo brothers did with Avengers.
Yes.
Where Endgame and Infinity War were basically filmed back to back.
Like Lord of the Rings, where the first film and then the second and third films were just all made, especially second and third, were made just at the same time.
Film them back to back with a coherent story where you know where it's going to end up, and what journey it's going to take along the way, rather than just giving it... I think the plan was very much like Thor Ragnarok was the success story of the Thor movies.
Yeah.
That only came about because they took a gamble and gave a movie to Taika Waititi.
And he did a really good job.
They were kind of looking for their own Taika Waititi, but for Star Wars, I think, in the form of Rian Johnson, or Ryan Johnson, or however it's pronounced, but which obviously went badly.
Badly. Even for somebody... Clearly, I don't know if he believes in the things that he put into that film. Like, you know...
Let's hope he doesn't anymore, because it's been all retconned, basically.
Weird environmental shit. And a lot of people say that, like, having moments like that are pandering. And a lot of the time it's not pandering because these directors think that will make the film better. They think it'll get more bums in seats.
Yeah, that's the point, yeah.
They think that if they do this, people that believe in that message will watch.
No film with... Do I even want to go down this route? I don't want to voice any political opinions ever, so no. I was going to say, like, no director ever does, in a few words, no director will ever do anything from the goodness of their heart because they are thinking they're doing a socially, morally just thing. They will do it because they know it sells tickets to a bigger group of people.
Not for a Star Wars film.
That's all I'm going to say on it, because...
They know that you'll go anyway, even if you don't believe in it, and people that they think do believe in it, that they assume reckon, like, they think that women will watch a film for girls in it.
Right. I don't want to go down this route, because the only good opinion to have on the internet is no opinion. And when I'm basically crowdfunded, I'm avoiding this like the plague.
Okay, fair enough.
That's it. That is the 2 hour and 35-minute opinion piece on almost as long as the movie. In fact, could even be longer than the movie.
I think it's longer than the movie.
About... I'm sure I will form other opinions as sort of breakdowns and videos go. Check out the Star Wars Reddit, because I'm sure I'm gonna be keeping my eye on that over the next couple of days. YouTube channel Eckhart's Ladder is very good for Star Wars breakdown and analysis, so go and check that out as well.
If you want some more funny versions of this stuff, watch Jenny Nicholson. She'll have some videos out on this, and she already has one for some of the perspective stories.
Star Wars. That's it. It's over. That's it. Potentially the last ever Star Wars main series movie.
Probably not, though.
I don't know. My money's on it. Like I said, I think they do a spin-off trilogy, so that actually could genuinely be the last Star Wars numbered movie. And now you're going to get nothing but Star Wars, a Lando Calrissian story. Star Wars, a Woman What Rode a Horse story.
Oh, good. I really hope they don't have a fucking spin-off film with Lando and that lady. I don't care about her. I don't know who she is. Oh, God. Why did they have to introduce... They should have just devoted this film to, like, the characters that already existed.
That being said, I would like to do a follow-up on ideas for what would make it better. If anybody is still watching at this stage, please let me know if you're interested in that, because I have some plans Maybe we should take the whole thing and rewrite it between us.
Yeah.
You can come up with the screenwriting related shit, and I'll come up with the stuff that could tie it to the rest of the Star Wars universe, which would be nice.
Yeah. I'm really interested in doing more stuff like this. Like a lot of the stuff that I enjoy, like I really like film. So I was thinking that we could go to the cinema and like watch more films and do stuff like this if we care about it.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Also, that cinema we went to today was shite. The seats were really uncomfortable. The sound was bad. I didn't have my glasses, so
The
that
person
might
in
be.
front of me kept reclining their seat into my knees. It was fucking terrible, and I'm short.
The
so...
popcorn was in bags, so it was really difficult to hold rather than being in a cardboard. I want to put it in a plastic cup or something, huh?
I'm willing to walk the further distance to go to the other cinema again.
Yeah, I am as well.
Because the cinema that we were in, the screen, like the room was so big that the sound was just.
Oh, they are really ramming people in there. It was also really difficult to maneuver around. Like they were really sharp inclines, so obviously you didn't get another person's head in front of you, and also the screen was massive, so they could fit a boatload of seats in there. But for me, like trying to walk past these people. I honestly thought I could see my life ending there. It was like fucking toppling over the edge of Mount Doom or something.
Yeah,
it was just
I felt
like a
so
steep
bad.
incline. It was awful. It was a bad cinema. So that's also probably going to colour our opinion. That being said, I'm done. That'll do.
Yeah, I'm done as well. I'm tired. It's 5 a.m. 6 a.m. Jesus Christ.
Right, bye.